I'm going to call the meeting to order. Good evening. My name is John Samia, and I'm the chair of the Shrewsbury Select Board. On behalf of my fellow board members in the town manager's office, I want to welcome you to our April 29th, 2025 Select Board meeting. Tonight's live broadcast is being brought to you by Mark Serra of the Shrewsbury Media Connection. Tonight's meeting will also be available via the Shrewsbury Media Connection on YouTube starting tomorrow, where all of our previous meetings are also currently available on the same platform. Before we begin, I ask that our members introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Beth Cassavant.
Teresa Flynn.
Carlos Garcia.
Michelle Conlon.
Hi, I'm Kevin Mizikar, the town manager.
Justin Dobson, Assistant Town Manager.
And again, I'm John Samia, Chair of the Select Board, and thank you for joining us this evening. First item on the agenda under preliminaries is to approve bills, payrolls, and warrants.
Move approval.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is to review and act to approve the minutes of April 8th, 2025 meeting, April 9th, 2025 meeting, April 14th, 2025 special town meeting, and April 15th, 2025 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is announcements and reports. Colleagues.
Well, we might have some announcements tonight. So you didn't think you were going to get away with us not acknowledging your final meeting with this board, and there's a room full of people here tonight who are here to wish you well and to thank you for your service to the community. So I'd like to start by inviting up our state senator, Mike Moore.
Surprise, surprise. Well, thank you for letting me know about tonight and the occasion, and thank you for all your years of service to the community. Obviously, by the amount of people here, you're very well respected, and they all appreciate the job you've done over the many years in elected office. So I have, in recognition of all your hard work and commitment to the community, I have a citation from the State Senate. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to John Samia, Chairman, Shrewsbury Select Board, in recognition of your years of dedicated public service, 6 years on the Select Board, 9 years school committee, and 17 years as an elected town meeting member. And be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends its congratulations and its best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to, and a copy transmitted by the clerk. And it's signed by the Senate President, Karen Spilker, myself. And again, good luck in your future endeavors, and just thank you very much for everything you've done for the town and your commitment. We all know how much work it takes. People think these jobs are part-time jobs, but when you're out with your family and you're at a restaurant or just trying to enjoy your family, and you have constituents coming up and approaching you on town issues, it really does turn into a 24/7 job. So again, thank you and congratulations.
So thank you for coming, and thanks for everything you do for Shrewsbury as well. So thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Come on.
Thank you very much.
Can I move?
Carlos, let me get out of this.
We should clap.
Thank you, Senator. Our state representative, Hannah Kane, is right now in Boston for Budget Week, so her husband and former colleague of John on the Select Board, Jim Kane, our town moderator, is here to wish him well and present Hannah's citation.
Good evening, John.
Good evening.
I always appreciated working with you when you were on the school committee, and what did we call them, the 3 board meetings that we used to have. You always had a very level-headed, rational approach that always kept the kids of Shrewsbury first and foremost in what you were doing. And I think we served only 1 or 2 years on the overlap, and I enjoyed that period of time as well. We have slightly different styles. You're a little more thoughtful than I am in many instances in life. But this is my 1 week a year where she's out and I get to get wheeled out, dusted off, and do something other than stand in front of a few hundred people. So this is from the House of Representatives. They don't give these out to just anybody, John, remember that. Be it hereby known to all, the Massachusetts House of Representatives offices sincere congratulations to John Samia, in recognition of your many years of dedicated public service to Shrewsbury, most notably serving on the Select Board and School Committee. Thank you for your steadfast leadership, thoughtful approach to keeping Shrewsbury a wonderful place to live and work. The community is grateful for your service. Your voice and perspective will be deeply missed, and your notable positive impact long felt. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. The 29th day of April, 2029, signed by the Speaker of the House, Ronald Mariano, and Hannah E. Kane, State Representative. Congratulations, John.
Thank you.
We'll move over.
Can you go in the middle?
You want us to go in the middle?
Mark, per Mark Sarah's request. I'm just being a good.
That's it. All right. We do this. Congratulations. Yeah. How's that? Pleasure. There we go. All right, here you go.
John, we also have some of your colleagues from your time that you served on the school committee. I know that Sandy Fritz would like to come up and say a few words.
We're all putting on our reading glasses now, for our age. I had the pleasure of serving with John on the Shrewsbury School Committee as a new member. John quickly became a trusted mentor to me, and I was immediately impressed by John's knowledge of the school budget process and his insight into the overall finances of the town. John, during your tenure on the school committee, you were a strong steward of taxpayers' dollars, and you balanced the needs of the school district and the town. Your leadership skills, people skills, and strong financial background enabled you to make a difference in education in Shrewsbury. For many years, John and I worked together as the school committee's representatives during the contract negotiations with various school department unions. John always did an excellent job presenting issues, discussing concerns, and reaching agreements that benefited students and staff. And the one thing about John, he always decided when it was time to get pizza. It was every time we met. It would be late. He would make a call to Papagino's and look out the window to see if the driver was coming, and he would always pay for it too and run down and get it. Because he went with the high school kids who were there to get our pizza, but that was always one of my memories. We would always make sure we were fed. So for anyone who's served on a contract negotiation team, you know it's not an easy work. It requires individuals who understand the issues, have strong critical thinking skills, and are able to work in collaboration with others to reach consensus on key issues. I'm grateful to John for his partnership in this area, as it helped me to better understand and be more effective with this important work. When John decided to run for a seat on the Select Board, I knew he would bring the same quality and skills to the role. Local elections and the individuals we elect to serve is really important, because these are the issues that will affect us on a daily basis. One of the first things John did when he was elected to the Select Board was to create 2-2 meetings. On a monthly basis, 2 members of the Select Board, 2 members of the School Committee, along with the Town Manager and Superintendent, meet to discuss various topics, such as budgets, new initiatives, and concerns in the town. These meetings have been extremely beneficial, as they have fostered collaboration and greater insight into the needs of our community. John, your leadership on the Select Board and the changes you brought to the role have been instrumental in helping our boards grow collectively and navigate through times of change and growth. In both elected roles, John, you have brought a passion for public service and did so without a personal agenda. Serving in those roles is very time-consuming, and you did it selflessly for the good of our town, despite at the same time raising your family and working full-time in a very demanding role as General Counsel and American Superconductor. I am honored to have served and collaborated with you over the many years we have worked together, and I'm very happy to call you a good friend. John, thank you for your years of service and commitment to the town. I am happy you will now have time to enjoy more uninterrupted time with Kim, Tommy, Catherine, and Michaela. You should be proud of the work you've done to make our town a wonderful place to live. You are stepping away from this role, but you are leaving a legacy that will continue to benefit our community. So thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you.
And if there's anyone else in the audience that would like to say a few words, I'd love to invite you up now. I don't want to miss anybody before I turn it over to our board. All right. Okay, I know that we have a few surprises and some comments before we get to the business of this meeting. So who'd like to go first?
Go first. I'm
All
going
right.
to go to the podium.
Go for it.
John, thank you for your many years of service to this community. I first met you almost exactly 10 years ago when you spoke at my high school graduation as chair of the school committee.
Feeling younger all the time.
Admittedly, I didn't know who you were back then, but you spoke to my graduating class, encouraging us to be better and encouraged us to find our purpose. You quoted Mark Twain that the two most important days of your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Ever since then, I have come to know you as a colleague and a friend, and I am grateful to you for all that you have done to make Shrewsbury a better place. I hope that when you look at the audience tonight, that you remember that each of us and those outside of these walls, in one way or another, have been uplifted by you. John, I am personally grateful that your signature is on my high school diploma. In recognition of your years of service to this community, I'm proud to issue you this diploma, signed by the current board and the manager, to congratulate you for completing countless projects, long hours of study, numerous papers, tough exams, but maybe not the MCAS. I know you will continue to find ways to give back to this community that you love. Thank you for all that you've done for us.
Thank you very much.
Coming in the middle.
Diploma, don't tell Dr. Sawyer I can take it.
Well, it's really hard to follow that up. Mine is not nearly as funny as Carlos's. It's truly been an honor to serve our community alongside you. The knowledge and genuine passion for Shrewsbury shine through everything that you do, and you always brought a really level-headed and positive outlook to everything that we did. And your intentions were always pure and always clear to everybody who worked with you. Even when I was just a fellow candidate competing on the same ballot with you, you treated me with kindness, openness, and respect, which is something I deeply appreciate and I've carried with me in the 3 years that I've been able to serve with you. You've undoubtedly left Shrewsbury better than you found it, and all of us are better having worked with you. So thank you, and congratulations on finally getting your Tuesday nights back.
Thank you.
I'll go next. Well, privately, I keep cursing you for your decision to leave the board. But publicly, I want to thank you not just for your years of service, but for the way you've served. You've made a difference through your leadership, collaboration, and commitment to doing what's right for the long-term success of Shrewsbury. Your role in advancing our strategic planning process, evolving town operations, and supporting town staff will have a lasting impact. And you've set a foundation and a way for working together that I hope will carry forward and continue to benefit the town for years to come. There are times when this role can be challenging, times when criticism is harsh and quick and louder than the good work being done. But you've always been a steady reminder of why we serve, to stay true to our purpose, to act with integrity, and to stay focused on what's in the best interest of our community. And you've led this by example. I have really appreciated working with you. You've been a valuable sounding board and a supportive colleague, and I will really miss having you on this team. I'm grateful for all you've done. I wish you all the best. I hope you will use the time you're getting back to relax and enjoy yourself, because you truly have earned it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I have some comments here from Mo. And I promise you all, it's only 3 paragraphs. When I first got this email and saw that there was a Word attachment, I was like, oh no. But it's actually pretty short. So I am going to read this. Dear John, congratulations on 15 years of dedicated service to our town. I still remember our first conversation at Black Diamond Coffee when you expressed interest in joining the school committee. It was clear to me then, as well as the school committee and my fellow selectmen, that you were the right choice. Your honesty, thoughtfulness, and deep commitment to the community stood out from the start. Over the years, your leadership and financial acumen helped shape some of Shrewsbury's most impactful initiatives, including our first 5-year financial forecast and first townwide strategic plan, projects that will benefit residents for years to come. It has been an honor to serve alongside you and a privilege to call you a friend. Thank you for your many contributions and best wishes as you begin the next chapter of your life. Warm regards, Mo.
Nice, thank you.
I thought he was going to, join us over Google Meet, but apparently it's, probably still cocktail hour in Arizona.
Gin and tonic time.
So I know the manager would like to say a few words as well.
Thank you.
John, first and foremost, thank you. A couple things that came to mind. I have the privilege of working with so many board members throughout the course of my career, but what has really stood out for me, it's been said a couple times already, but your advocacy for the strategic plan. I know that's something that we talked about in our first meeting in my office before you decided to run for select board. And at that time, you had the vision to know that the benefits of coming together through a strategic planning process would better align what you're hearing from the community and how our staff prioritize its work. And we've accomplished a lot in the time since we've implemented that plan, and plenty of things to do, but you really got us moving in that effort. To me personally, you've mentored me. You've spent seemingly endless hours with me working on strategy, legal matters, not officially, personnel management, my own personal development. There isn't a meeting that you ended any other way with, other than with one single question, which is how can I help? And I've really appreciated that over the 6 years plus that I've gotten to know you. I've seen your commitment to the community is really unrivaled. You've approached everything with the sharpness of corporate counsel, your day job, but the heart of a resident and a father. And that's been really helpful to me and this entire board. You've always placed the board as an institution above your own personal interests. And that's really brought this board together and everyone that you've worked with together. I do have to say, some things get summed up really well in the end, and for you that happened, for you that happened last Thursday. I think it was Wednesday night, Select Board Member Flynn sent me a message and she said, hey, tomorrow let's meet at 8:15. We knew John was in the Bahamas, so we normally meet, the two of us and John, at Thursday morning at 7:45. Teresa does not love 7:45 a.m. meetings. So 8:15 was our compromise, and it was around 8 o'clock. John was texting me. He's like, hey, I'm on the Google Meet. Where's everyone at? Like, John, you're in the Bahamas. But 8:15, we all joined and had one last meeting, which was fun and appreciated it. So thanks for everything. Really, really appreciate your help.
Well, thank you. I appreciate all the comments. It's been an honor to serve with all of you. I have a few comments, be a little bit all over the place. But, Kevin, I remember the first meeting that we had in October of 2018, and I did have the privilege of serving on the school committee for 9 years. And when I was on the school committee, really, to go back to 2006, I wasn't involved actively with politics. There happened to be a position available for an appointment. I wasn't even a dark horse. I hadn't been actively involved, had a lot going on, and I did what the only way I knew how was I asked everybody on the then Board of Selectmen and the school committee for a cup of coffee. And I thought I could help. At that time, it was a different environment in our town. There was a lot of divisiveness over school funding, a lot of divisiveness generally, and I thought I could help. And I figured you can either be on the sidelines or you can be an active participant and help solve the problem. I chose the latter. That's what I try to do every day in my job, and I just felt, maybe naively so, that I could help. And throughout my 9.5 years on the school committee, I worked with 2 outstanding superintendents and outstanding colleagues, and we did a lot of good things. We did strategic priorities, we did financial forecasts. We were fortunate enough to have an override in 2014. But I also recognized during that time that there were opportunities for the town as well that I thought we could do that could make us ideally a better place for all to thrive. I thought that we could do strategic planning, financial forecasting, have enhanced collaboration between the boards, not always a tri-board, although we just had one recently and they're good, but also to have enhanced communication. So after a couple years off from school committee, the first person I spoke with was you, because I understand that our town manager is our chief executive officer, and I wasn't sure, I had watched your original interviews, but I just sat down with you to see how you ticked and what your vision was for the town, and I was in awe of that. When we talked about strategic planning, we talked about Olathe, Kansas, and ultimately you, Beth, and I were on a call, and then the pandemic happened. But you had a vision then for our community, and that was driven by you, and I just happened to be fortunate enough for the ride. But that really excited me, and once again, it was as simple as I thought I could help. And we did start the strategic planning process. Kevin started the financial forecasting process, and he really had a good model ready to go, and then the pandemic happened. And you were ready. You were ready to pivot. And again, I view it as an opportunity for our board to help along the way. But ultimately, it's your leadership, and we'll talk about that later with your review. But it was knowing that if I could help in any way, but really move our community forward and bring us to the next level where all can thrive. And we talk a lot about thriving. So that was the meeting that sealed it for me. My wife, Kim, is here, and I'll talk about my family a little bit. But I was knocking on doors, going for the campaign because really wanted to do it and was excited to do it. It's been a wonderful 6 years on the select board with you and all of you here. It's just a great town. And I have some comments here that it has been an honor and a privilege to serve on the select board over the last 6 years and the school committee before that for 9 years and have a little over 15 years in elected office and a couple other years on town meeting. And I've been fortunate to have worked with such dedicated, smart, and hardworking select board colleagues, town manager, your office, including Keith, Dave, and Christina, Justin and Taylor, Julie, Alex, Nick, Christine, and Jeff, and hopefully I didn't miss anybody, Val before you guys. But every day, the chief of police, Chief Anderson, Chief Colby, and all the department heads, and every town employee really brings their A game. They make our community what it is. And I think, to the extent our board plays a role in that, it's an honor to do so, but we are truly fortunate. Shrewsbury is a great town where all can thrive because of everything that everybody does when they walk through town hall doors, when they go into your office. My colleagues here, no one has an agenda here. Everyone does this effectively hundreds, if not thousands of hours every year to better our community. And we should embrace that. We should respect that. Because I use the pandemic as an example. Think about this. In 2019, we're first watching the television set, and they're saying up to tens of millions of people could die. We didn't know at that time. Our police, our fire, our town staff, things went without a hitch. And oh, by the way, at the same time, we were running into a fiscal crisis. We had a town manager who was forward-thinking at that time, and we worked together. And he had a fiscal model that pivoted and allowed us together with the school committee through collaboration and partnership through the community to do an override model that originally promised 4 years, and we're looking at 7 years now. But we did that through collaboration. We did that through hard work. And we did it because we have so many great people in our town. And we can't lose sight of that. This role is not about individuals. It's rather about a team collaborating towards an important common goal. And I'm proud of what we've collectively accomplished over the past several years, even more so, given COVID and the uncertainty of that. None of us, and we weren't around 100 years ago, although after Carlos's comments, I may have been. But we didn't have anything to go by. And thinking about some of the things we've done, we fundamentally changed the operation of the town. It was a different time when we used to look at a revenue-based model, year at a time. Now we're forward, we're future ready. Now we're looking 5 years, 10 years, your capital plan, 20 years. We are now strategic. We are now future ready. We truly strive to provide opportunities so that all residents can thrive. Yes, there's always opportunities to do better. No, there's no complacency on this board. But I do feel like we've done a lot of good things with so much more to come. We have the financial forecast, the strategic plan, the collaboration with other boards. We had the tri-board on the 15th. Very responsive. We'll talk a lot about your responsiveness, but we've expanded with office hours, and all of you are available on a moment's notice for a cup of coffee or to open your door in town hall. Maximize ARPA dollars. We've had successful capital projects with Beal and the police station. And together we've sought to provide services that our residents deserve and our community expects. And we balance that too, though, We understand that residents also struggle, and we balance that as well, too. Every decision that we make, we know that we're not going to get everybody to agree with, but what I can assure people is that it's thought through, and we balance and do the best we can to make sure that our community is one in which, like our strategic plan, in which all can thrive. While I leave a role that will enable me to directly impact our community, I know that with each of you, we are in tremendously great hands. Complacency is not in any of your DNA, and I know that you will continue to undertake action so that we can become an even better community for all to live, work, raise a family, and thrive. To our community, I want to thank you again for your trust and support, electing me to this role twice and to the school committee 3 times. To all of you, I thank you for your trust and confidence. For all of town staff, I want to thank you for what you do on a daily basis, your thoughtfulness, your intelligence, your professionalism, and what you do every day. Finally, but most importantly, I want to thank my family for their sacrifice and enabling me to serve for these years on the select board and the school committee beforehand. It's a lot of hours, and time is one of our most valuable assets, and I appreciate for you letting me follow my passion. So I thank you all again. I appreciate all the comments, and again, appreciate working with all of you, and look forward to seeing our town continue to grow through your leadership, through all of your leadership, and look forward to seeing for years to come how our town continues to do great things. So thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for your comments. So thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, we are going to get back to the regular business of the board.
Yes.
People are welcome to stay. They're also not obligated to stay. So, as much as we enjoy being here on Tuesday nights, I know others may have places to be. So we'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chair.
So next item on the agenda is Town Manager's Report. Mr. Mizikar.
So, board members, I have good news. We received competitive bids this afternoon for the construction of our PFAS treatment plant. We had a budget estimate vetted at $18.5 million, and the low bid came in at $13,492,000, so 27% under our budget. Will be a tremendous savings to the water rates. That's coupled with a 1.5% interest rate that we receive through the state revolving fund. So really excited. I think one thing looking forward, this also is really good news for the facilities optimization project. We've seen a lot of other public bid projects because some investments are softening up and not a lot of projects are moving forward, but this does bode well for that project. Hopefully, come in under budget as well. So I'm really pleased that this PFAS treatment plant, which we originally thought was going to be about $18.5 million, will get that locked in for a little less than $13.5 million. As you have in front of you, we're really proud of the 2024 annual town report. It looks great again. Thanks to Taylor for all her hard work in assembling and writing and developing and editing that document. We look forward to sharing that with all the residents. For the past 2 years in a row, we've received second place in our category at the annual awards for the annual reports through the MMA. I'm sure we've got a first place this year. At least that's what we'll advocate for. So thanks. Proud of that for sure. And then I think I have, nope, that's it. Those 2 items.
Quick question, PFAS, any update on litigation? How's that going?
Yeah, so we're part of the class action lawsuit, and we're slowly working through 2 different settlements, one with Tyco BASF. That's finalized, and we're just waiting on our award amount. And the DuPont settlement, DuPont 3M settlement, is about a month or 2 behind the other. So we don't have any exact dollar figures, but I'm confident there'll be over a couple $1 million that we'll receive, which will further buy down that cost of the new treatment plant.
And the positive piece about opting into that, had we not, we would have had to go out on our own.
Correct.
And that in itself would have been very difficult.
Right, so we're
Okay.
not
That was good.
incurring any direct legal fees for those efforts in that suit.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, next item on the agenda, oh, sorry. Carlos.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I back up to announcements?
Yeah, please,
I do
go
have-
ahead.
I do have one. I wanted to share with the community, several months ago, a resident had reached out, actually Natalie Cord and Greg from the Personnel Board, reached out to offer some ways that we could help residents who participate in public hearings and public meetings to get them more informed and more comfortable with the expectations and with that process. So I've worked closely with Natalie as well as Safa Khan, Taylor Galusha, and David Snowden on creating putting together a guidelines document where residents, it's a very easy guide to follow along to understand when to raise your hand, what are the expectations when you get up to the microphone to state your name, address, things like that, as well as a glossary of terms for some commonly used town government terminology that we use in our meetings. I think that these two documents together are a good improvement to help residents, especially ones who are coming to perhaps a meeting for the very first time, better understand what's going on and what are the expectations. Residents should expect to see a QR code available at the polling places so that they can see these documents for themselves. And then I think in future meetings, some hard copies will also be available. So just want to thank Natalie, Safa, Taylor, and David for their work on this, and look forward to hearing residents' feedback once they actually see those.
Thank you. Any other announcements?
I just think that's, really helpful. I know a lot of times when people come to a public hearing, they're not quite sure, what the expectation is, and a glossary of terms would also be something that would be of value to residents, because we do use a lot of terms that aren't normally just part of the vernacular. I wonder if maybe in the future we could get Natalie to come in, maybe with Safa, to present this document so that we can all, because I don't think it's in our drive. Maybe I'm missing it, but I don't see it. And I'd love to be able to see it and share that more broadly.
I think we could definitely make that happen.
Thanks.
So thank you.
Anything else? Jump back to public comment on the preliminaries pursuant to Select Board Policy 31, to offer citizens the opportunity to provide public comments during Select Board meetings on matters within the board's authority. Tonight, no one has expressed the desire to speak during this portion of our meeting. However, in the future, if you'd like to discuss, present to the Select Board at this portion of the regularly scheduled meeting, please notify the chair of the Select Board through the Select Board's office by the end of business on the Monday prior to our next regularly scheduled meeting by written correspondence or email at selectboard@shrewsburyma.gov, which our next meeting is May 13th. And just a reminder, as well as that, there'll be Select Board office hours as well from 5:30 to 6:30 right across the hall. So it's another opportunity off camera. If you have any questions or comments, usually 2 members of the Select Board are there and would love to meet with you either there or hear from you here. Next item on the agenda is under meetings and hearings. We have a 7:05, which is past public hearing, to review and act on the application of George Abdian of Abayo Atelier, pardon my mispronunciation, LLC, doing business as Simon Jewelers, 127 Boston Turnpike, for a junk dealer license. This item requests that the board to approve the application of George Abdian. And good evening. I'll just give a little background and then the floor is yours. Of Abdio Atelier, LLC, DBA Simon Jewelers, located at 127 Boston Turnpike, for a junk dealer license, also known as a dealer of precious metals license. And you had operated Simon Jewelers at this location since 1997 under Simon Jewelers LLC. And at the beginning of 2025, you established this new LLC, Abdio Atelier, and help me with pronunciation, LLC, which has a different EIN number, hence the request in front of us.
Correct.
So pardon the mispronunciation.
No, not at all. For the first thing, I would say Mr. Kane forgot an envelope here.
Thank you.
Second thing is, I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And congratulations on everything. And if I had gotten the memo from Justin, I would have put a suit on. But yes, it's the same business. We've been there since '97, and our accountant just told us to, protect ourselves and do the LLC. Everything is exactly the same.
Any questions? This is a public hearing? Yep, this is a public hearing, just so I know a couple aren't, so I just want to, so is there anyone in the audience have any questions or comments for the applicant here? If not, doesn't look like there is. Entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is closed. What's the pleasure of the board?
I move that the board approve the license application.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks for
much.
coming
And
this
again,
evening,
thank
and
you
thanks for your
service.
patience.
Thank you. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a public hearing to review and act on the application of Michael Hank of M Brand Inc., DBA Best Auto Body, 753 Grafton Street, to amend its Class II dealer and garage license. This item requests the board to approve the application of Michael Hank of M Brand Inc., DBA Best Auto Body, located at 753 Grafton Street, which I just read, but by way of background, first applied for a Class II license and garage license in 2006, and the current application reflects some of the changes that have happened since that time. I'll turn it over to the applicant's counsel, Attorney Ricker. Good evening.
Thank you, Chairman Samia, for the last time.
Thanks.
I also want to congratulate you. You've done a great service to the town of Shrewsbury, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
It's a wonderful thing that the amount of time you've spent, frankly. I'm here with Michael Hank, who has been operating Best Auto Body since 2006, although he was there before. Best has been there since 1984. I, as a matter of fact, been around a little longer than that, but in any event, they were in front of the Board of Appeals a number of times for various adjustments through the years. And one of the conditions that was something that Mr. Hank never knew about, frankly, and was never apprised of by anyone, was the prohibition of vehicles being parked overnight. As you know, in this day and age, because of the nature of a business such as what he does, which is repairs motor vehicles that have been damaged, it's an auto body shop. There's no such thing as bringing an automobile in and having it there for the day and then taking it home. You're going to wait for parts, you're going to wait for service, you're going to wait for various reasons. In any event, the nature of the business is such that you're going to see vehicles that are kept there overnight. He does keep a lot of vehicles, quite a few vehicles inside the premises. And he has, I would suggest to you, been a good neighbor throughout the years to his neighbors, some of whom are here. We did go back to the Zoning Board of Appeals after it was brought to his attention that there was a question about these overnight vehicles, the vehicles parked overnight. We suggested in that process and based on discussions that we had with various officials, we suggested that the parking that he have there for vehicles that are kept overnight be placed to the rear of his premises, behind the garage that is really the second building on his property, behind the main structure where he does most of the work. So, and as part of the process, we also suggested to the Zoning Board of Appeals that he place a fence by the garage in order to more effectively shield the view of those vehicles from Grafton Street. Now, as you know, the property backs up to a commercial parking lot. It backs up, in fact, to a portion of Flynn's Truck Plaza. There are warehouse buildings there. There's parking lot there. As you know, the sewer is being run through there as we speak. There's been quite a bit of construction there. But I would suggest to you respectfully that he's done a fine job of operating the business. He keeps it neat and clean. Nothing has changed except things have been improved under his guidance and as the proprietor there. He's there every day. He does have Craig Dupree, who's here with us tonight as well, who's one of his managers who works with him. He does employ at any given time 9 to 12 people in this community, and he's been a good employer. He's been a stalwart in the community, and I would suggest to you a good business to have here. You need to do it. You need to have these types of businesses, and I think he's done a good job. So we find ourselves here essentially for a new license because of the change of the parking situation. So we're asking you for a new license, although we're not asking you to, or suggesting to you that we would like to change anything in particular, except the betterment of the property by putting the parking to the rear. So he does also have, as you know, a Class 2 dealer's license. He does use that occasionally, and with that license, I believe he's allowed 3 vehicles exterior-wise. And you will note that occasionally there's probably a couple of vehicles out there, but overall, again, you don't see a massive vehicles there anymore. As soon as this came to his attention, he took steps immediately to straighten things out. So I give him credit for that. So with that, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to try to answer them.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bricker. Colleagues, any questions? Just a quick question. Hours are the same?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
And it notes right in here that Officer Wennick noted that the site was kept neat.
Okay.
Right, and I think that is something that we look for when we're, thinking about site plans and what the impact is on a neighborhood. And I think he's doing the right thing. Right?
Okay.
I would point out at the Zoning Board of Appeals, if I could,
Please
just
do.
say one more thing.
Sure.
It was brought to our attention by one of the neighbors that she thought that we were expanding and doing something to expand the car dealership portion of this. In fact, she called it a car dealership. I would tell you that is categorically not the case. He wants to operate exactly the way he's been operating. So he does not intend to add any traffic or any other nuisance to this area.
Okay. Great. Thank you. If there are no questions, I'll open up. This is a public hearing. Would anyone in the audience like to comment on this? If you could, please come up to the microphone and introduce yourself and your address, please.
Josh Holden, 782 Grafton Street. 782 Grafton Street has been in my wife's family since the 60s. They remember when the gentleman that started Best Auto Body asked the neighbors for basically the waiver to allow the business to start operating in a residential neighborhood. So I'm happy to hear that they're confirming that it's going to be a maximum of 3 cars for sale. That was one of the questions that my wife had at the last hearing. It's interesting you said something about working hours. I was wondering what the working hours are limited to, since it is a residential neighborhood.
Thank you.
What's your hours?
Mr. Hank?
I open at 7:30 in the morning. The office opens at 7:30 in the morning. Most of on a rare occasion, some guys do work some overtime and things like that, but realistically, 7:30 to 5:30.
And the hours in the application are 7 to 6, so appreciate that.
Okay, and then I guess my only other comment is, in 20 years, I don't think I've ever seen a car for sale out there, so sounds like you intend to keep doing what you've been doing, and we appreciate that. And thank you for your time, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other comments or questions? Not seeing any. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
I've been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The public hearing is closed. Colleagues, what's the pleasure of the board?
I move the board approve the application of Michael Hank of M Brand Inc., DBA Best Auto Body, located at 753 Grafton Street, to amend its Class 2 and garage licenses, subject to the following restrictions: 35 parking spaces for storage and repair, 9 parking spaces for customers or employees, and 3 parking spaces for the display of vehicles for sale.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you for coming this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks a lot.
And again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, I'm going to open the 7:15 public hearing. It's to review and act on the application of Claire Chen of Greenie Inc., doing business as Barbecue Chicken, 288 Boston Turnpike, for a common victular license. Mr. Mizikar, I know that we've heard information about this. Originally, it seemed to be a larger project. Could you just share what this is currently?
Sure. So the applicant originally came before the Zoning Board of Appeals late in 2024 with a business license, or with a request to have a variance to have a restaurant that had up to 70 seats within it. But after commentary at the ZBA meeting and discussion with the ZBA and the town's professional staff, the applicant changed their approach for the business and radically, or significantly, I guess is a better word, downsized and the current proposal is for 8 seats within the restaurant. And the parking lot has 12 parking spaces, and 2 of those will be dedicated to employees. The business is proposed for operation, as you said, at 288 Boston Turnpike, which is in the limited business zoning district, which provides for restaurants with indoor and outdoor service by right within that. So the board has before you this evening common victualer's license, which of course is required for any establishment that serves food and has seating within it.
Okay. And we have, with respect to this property, heard from residents as well that we've started to look at traffic as well?
Yeah, so we have had residents reaching out to us proactively before the business opens to talk about traffic within the neighborhood streets, and we certainly understand and appreciate that. We've actually taken some proactive measures to try to improve some sight lines within the neighborhood streets and, within some of the intersections. We understand some residents wanted some of the public ways or the access from the parking lot to be restricted. It would be my recommendation, even though it's not really under the common victualer's license, that we allow the business to open and see if the board should enact any changes as road commissioners in the future, making any restrictions at that time. I wouldn't want to do something that's actually negative to the residents in the neighborhood who may be accessing the business or otherwise in that parking lot. So if you're restricting turn movements out there, it may have more of a consequential impact than we want. The town is committed to doing a traffic study within the area and on the residential streets after the business opens. We understand there's traffic concerns in the area already, and we want to be able to compare the pre-occupancy to the post-occupancy.
Thank you. I understand that the applicant, Claire Chen, is on the line. Anyone else?
Claire Chen and her counsel attorney who.
Okay. Thank you. Colleagues, any questions or comments?
Yeah, so before we get into this, because I do know that there are residents here for this hearing, what exactly is in the purview of our board as we consider this common victualer's license?
So the common victualer's license is associated with the food establishment itself. This is not a zoning matter. The use is permitted by right within zoning, and that has been reviewed by the town zoning officer. So the board's consideration that you have before you tonight is really, is it in the public's interest to issue a license to operate a food establishment with internal seating within? From the review that, we customarily do on this, these licenses are routinely issued by licensing authorities, including the board, and there would have to be some proof of continued health or safety violations, codes associated with other business or this business to revoke such a license, and I don't think we have that information before. Because of the zoning review and the board's purview with regards to the common victualer's license, it is our recommendation that you issue the license this evening, subject to, your deliberation here and any public comments you may receive.
Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, any other questions or comments?
I
ahead.
think we'll move into the public hearing. I may have questions after.
Okay, anything else? This is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak, please come on up to the microphone. If you could provide your name and address, and if you have any questions ultimately to the applicant, please go through me. Good evening.
How we doing?
Good, how are you?
I have a couple of sheets here. My name is Edmund Paquette, 63 Grafton Street. Both my brother and myself own the abutting property. The other abutting property is Tatum Road and Route 9. It's part of, our abutting property is part of Paquette Realty Trust. Couple of things here. They originally, these fine people who bought this size 3 shoe, wanted 74 parking spaces. So that they kind of tipped their hat on basically the amount of business that they were going to do. So anyway, what happens is they provide, at that meeting, because this has been going on for about 3 or 4 months now, a number of chairs and tables and workstations. And then they reduce it down to 2, 4, 6, 4 tables, a long counter, and an extraordinary waiting area. When I say extraordinary, it, from a retail standpoint, probably better than 50 to 60% of waiting. Can someone give me a definition of waiting? These are people that are going to stand there. Now, I don't want to be redundant, but we do have a terrific traffic problem. Not mobile traffic, but people parking on Gleason Road. And that's because the board allowed Greendale Health and Fitness to have their employees park on the street, which they have a right to do. The unfortunate thing is that if you live on that street, you have those cars in front of your house every day. Let's remember that this area is only 200 feet deep, okay, zone-wise. The rest of it's residential. Now, I believe the board and the building inspector and the planning board and whoever else received a petition of over 85 names. And this petition was from everybody in that neighborhood. This is an isolated neighborhood. Its only egress is onto Route 9. This corner is a popular corner to cross for the light. It's kind of like Russian roulette because the cars are coming fast. So I don't want to be repetitive and talk about traffic. You already know that there's 85 people in that neighborhood that were more than glad to sign this petition. We own property on Route 9. We've always kept that property to a very low profile type of business. A women's dress store, a men's shoe store. And we did that not only because our parents lived in the neighborhood, but because it has a lot to do with the quality of life in your neighbors. So these fine people who bought this size 3 shoe with a 12 size foot should have realized back then that this is a fictitious thing. This drawing is a joke. And I can say that professionally because I was a designer for 25 years. What this does is allow them to get in under the wire and say, okay, we have conformed to the necessary parking. But it ain't a reality. And I don't think this board should allow them to get this vicular's license until they define what this waiting area is. Now, we asked the building inspector, can we find out what the waiting area is? I mean, a lot of space to wait for 4 tables. And then if you look at the front sheet over here, and you see that they have 12 parking places, there's gonna be more than 2 people working there. But again, they were allowed a building permit because they conform to what the law is. So, there's all different definitions of the law. There's what's written. I've heard one person at one time say, it's the spirit of the law. Well, I'm saying, here's the truth of the law, okay? I, being a farmer, what I see here is a picture of the daughter, and in reality, I'm getting the grandmother. So, I don't think until, again, not to be repetitive, this waiting area is defined. I think these people made a mistake. I think they were encouraged by the seller. If this was a dentist's office or an accountant, or you wouldn't see me here. Those types of business are very conducive to that neighborhood. Now, the environment, barbecue ribs are great. Anything barbecued, great. But if you had to go home every night and smell barbecue, I think after a while you'd become a vegetarian. The other thing is that we have people who rent from us surrounding this area. And, you know, they've already spoken to us about not only the parking in front, because they see Gleason Road, but they also spoke to us about a lot of things, the noise, the traffic. So that's kind of a hardship on us. I mean, it's nice to live at Times Square, but after a while, you know, you really don't want to put up with it. So I think that the board, with my respect, should go back and get some better definitions here, because these people haven't defined what they're doing. When you jump from 74 to only needing 12, when you have a waiting area that's 50% bigger than your retail area, makes me question really what's going on. And what's going on is they're kind of laughing at us because they're following the law, but someone's got to read between the lines. And no one's done it so far. So my suggestion to them, sell the property. As I understand, they were offered $50,000 more. I don't know what kind of business would go in there, but this business does not belong on that corner or any type of that business belonging on that corner, especially with that corner that crosses over there to the other side, so you can go from east to west on Route 9. So, I don't want to sound like bitter lemons here, but that's my feelings.
Thank you.
So I hope you take it under consideration and get a definition of really what's going on down there, because that's a big jump from 74 to being satisfied with 12 parking places. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please come up, if you could, your name and address, and if you have any questions, just go through.
Mark Majori from 19 Corner Road. So I'm going to echo kind of what he's been saying. In fact, I found out about this because I'm not in the butter, but I do live in the neighborhood. I saw him at the zoning board speaking, and I was wondering what was going on. And when I found out it was the old bean counter, I kind of watched. And one of the things that the applicant said in that meeting is, kept saying that, you know, there's public parking, we want, you know, we would like to have a variance for that, for the parking. 72 seats, you need about 45 parking spots. They only got about 10. They said roughly about 50% they would be full. That's probably about 20 cars that was gonna go onto a residential. I don't know who gave them the idea that's even thinkable of even applying for a variance. I'm surprised the town said, you can apply, but it's gonna be turned down. And I had to watch it. It was just kind of a joke to me. I'm not gonna really repeat what he said, but I do have to say, back in 2014, there were 2 residents that did complain about the old bean counter. One of them being 9 Tatum Road, which was a gentleman named Leo. And it's a small home, residential home, and he was probably around over 90 years old. And he worked for the town of Shrewsbury for about 30 years in the highway department. In fact, he was a call fireman before it was full-time. So he's been in town for a long, long time. When the employees parked at the bean counter, they parked on the other side of Tatum Road because they never parked in their own parking lot. They parked, I believe, on his property on the street. Well, he had put cones. Leo put cones on front of his car so no one would park in front of his house. And he applied in September of, I think, 2014 to get a no parking on the home side of Tatum Road. That was denied, but in the same meeting, Anthony Carter, who lives on Sias Ave on the parallel street, asked to put a stop sign on the Tatum and there, and that was granted. Now, Anthony Carter used to own that building, and he recognized that the bean counter was having problems with traffic. So that kind of tells you this has been an issue for a long time. And what I'm afraid of is if this business runs for a couple of years and then decides to close, that opens up for another restaurant. So it's just going to repeat. It's just going to be a restaurant after restaurant after restaurant, and a service. It really needs to be like an accounting, a barber, a hair salon. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But I do have questions about, they haven't been on the planning board. So there are some questions that haven't been answered by when it is operational. I don't know the snow removal, because I do know in that neighborhood, especially on Bailey Road where Trippies is, they kind of plow it right onto the sidewalk, and then when you're trying to get into Route 9 from Bailey Road, the piles are high. So if you're gonna have a takeout, and with a lot of Uber, DoorDash, they're all gonna come into Route 9, and then there's probably gonna be a snow pile there. Now, I know we haven't had snow in a couple of years, but that could be an issue. The other issue I do have is trash removal. Their application says they're gonna have trash 3 times a week. When the bean counter had their dumpster, I think it was Pellegrino, and they used to come around 6 o'clock in the morning. And you can hear it. I can hear it from my house. I'm kind of requesting to see if we can get that at least after 7 o'clock. And lastly is the delivery service, food delivery, because this is what kind of license. How is the food going to get delivered to the restaurant? Is it going to be like a Cisco truck that's going to be parked along Tatum Road? What times are the delivery going to be? Because I can tell you that my kid's bus, they get picked up, and then the bus turns into Tatum Road to go on to Route 9. So if the truck is parked along Tatum Road near the property, and there's a bus there, they're going to be blocking traffic, anyone that wants to come off of Route 9 in the morning. So those kind of issues need to be addressed before I would like to see them have them operational.
Okay.
And all the other things that have been documented, so I don't I don't think I really need to repeat all that.
Thank you. Anything else? Wanna- You could introduce yourself, please,
Hi,
and address.
I'm Kathleen Cohane, 29 Gleason Road. Well aware of the problems with the physical therapy place. I'm wondering, I hadn't heard about the traffic study before, so I was wondering if you could tell me when's that going to start, what we should expect from that, and what kind of, how mitigation would be taken care of.
Mr. Mizikar.
So, I don't have the specific locations, but we would deploy our traffic counters, which would monitor volume, speed, and type of vehicle within and among the residential streets, most likely near the intersections, and be able to analyze the traffic impact of the business opening. There's no mitigation that we can require from an existing business that's moving in, on a by right basis. I mean, there's no hooks or planning board approval process that would enable mitigation to happen. It would give us a baseline and understanding if there's anything that we could do, whether it's, speed-wise or otherwise, that we at least have the data to be able to look at.
Yeah, with all the empty storefronts, this is just gonna become up over and over again, so I'm looking towards the future, too. All right, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? That's one question to the applicant, just while the public hearing's still open. In terms of food delivery service, what's the expectation on that, although it's outside this license per se, but we could just ask that question. Ms. Chen?
Claire? Yes.
Or your counsel, either one, either through your counsel. Just the last question that was asked from the second gentleman that came this evening in terms of food truck delivery, how often would you expect that? What type of deliveries would it be? Would it be a larger
It's
van?
gonna
Or
about once a week. It should be earlier before the business hour. So our business hour will be we hope it's gonna be in 10 to 10, but I think we're gonna close earlier, like 9 p.m. And the food delivery company is gonna be in the Golden. So they usually do once a week, and gonna delivery on Friday, every Friday. So about 10 to 11.
Thank you.
So also, it's I think I needed to expand the barbecue chicken. It's not like a barbecue, so it's the name of stand for is best quality. So there it's a Korean franchise brand, and it's a Korean fried chicken.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the clarification on the last, given it's a common victular license. I know the last question is tangentially related. But
Right, but I mean, I would also,
Go ahead.
Can you speak to the waiting area, the size of it? I know that was brought up in the hearing. Again, it's not a part of what this license,
But we're here and.
but someone did come here to ask, and so I would love to hear the answer if possible.
So what's the expectation for the waiting area? What does that serve?
The waiting area, I think it's just for the customer come to pick up, because some customer gonna make a phone call because it's the dish will prepare to 20 to 30 minutes, so they maybe just want to wait, and then just for the waiting for getting the food. So it's not for waiting for the food, the seat to seat, because it's the restaurant is like a cafe style restaurant. We serving a fast food. It's not we recommend the customer to dine in, because as you know, they only have AC. I don't think it's like a dine-in restaurant.
So if I may,
during the design process, we had envisioned a space that could accommodate a lot more diners than 12 people. So now we're limited to 12 seats, and we have these,
Eight seats.
quite large, eight
seats.
seats, quite large area that we just simply cannot put seats there. So I think the issue is really kind of reversed. We just have a big space, but we only allow 8 seats.
So it's just grab and go. It's the idea.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? Thank you. Sure. Come on. Mark, if you just go through me, and then we'll.
So the issue that I might have is if it's a big waiting area and you have a big wait time. I know you're allowed, I think the plan was 5 for customers and then 5 for takeout. You think there's gonna be more people waiting than 5 cars, especially if it's like delivery services? What if you have 2 or 3 delivery services and about 6 or 7 people waiting for food in their cars, and they're trying to find a parking spot? There's only one way in and one way out, right? So they're gonna park down that road. They're gonna park on Tatum Road, which is not a lot of parking spots, and you're gonna have a lot of. I don't know how busy they're gonna be, but if it is busy, like anything like Dean Park Pizza.
But true, but Dean Park has a lot more sitting.
But there's a lot of takeout.
True.
There's a lot of takeout, and I used to do it. I used to do it for Faux Shore when they were still in town. It was. I had to go park almost. And there was a lot more people waiting for food for Faux Shore than the actual seats at Shrewsbury. Okay. So I think the concern that I have is, especially in that parking lot, trying to get. I've been in that parking lot when it's green counter. And try to make a 3-point turn to get out of there, and then someone coming in and out of there. It's just, you almost need 2 egress and ingress on the parking, in the parking lot. And that, I can see it that way, just from going to places to take takeout. I can see that as an issue. And if you have that much of a large of a area for waiting, that just invites more people to wait. So that's.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for their comment. Teresa, go ahead.
I was looking at the application. Is there an occupancy maximum or a maximum number of people that can be in the establishment at any given time?
There's not a certificate
There
yet.
ultimately will be.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Chair, may I ask a
Yes,
question?
please.
Does this business exist elsewhere, or is this the first and only of its kind that is being established? I'm just wondering.
From them? Is this, so they're asking their experience?
Is this, yes.
Is this your first,
Is
do
it
you have
a
another?
chain? Is there another?
Do you have another similar restaurant, similar model, or is this the first?
Yeah, I have another restaurant. It's in Quincy, and also I want to mention it before. So we want to do like a 72 seat, like a same restaurant as my Quincy restaurant, but it's not allowed. So we changed to the takeout restaurant. And as I know, the occupancy of the Origin Bean, they have a 10 seat. So we already just cut 2 seats. It's because we want more parking space for the employee, and then we're doing the carpool for the employee, and we left the 10 parking space for the customer. I think everything we just follow the rules, so we don't want to break the rules.
No, understood. It's a different volume issue on that. It's still within the common victular and what we can and can't do, but the difference between that and the bean counter was the bean counter had desserts. People got their coffee in the morning. Yes, there were 10 seats. I didn't see very often people sitting there. Different type of volume, and it was I'd say probably more around the morning. I don't know how often they did in the afternoon with some cake orders. Different. I appreciate the point. Just a different business, but you have a different business. It's apples and oranges, because their other business is 72 seats, larger dining. Hence, they were trying to replicate that here, but this isn't the site for it. Any other, still a public hearing, it's open. You want to please come up so the microphone can pick you up.
One more time. 2 points. This waiting area, what happens mysteriously if there's 10 tables there? Who's going to police that?
Mr. Dobson?
Honestly, no. Because the beacon counter was allowed to go in, but there was no seating there except for one table where you could discuss your wedding cake with your client.
Yep.
And it ultimately ended up with a lot more people having coffee there and a lot more employees parking out on the street, which by law, they have a right to park on the street. Except if you live there, you don't want to see the same car and have them yelling at you because you can't get into your driveway. So who is going to police not only how many tables they've got in there, but are they parked close to a fire hydrant? I mean, I've called the police and they got better things to do over on Gleason Road because someone continuously parks next to a hydrant on the sidewalk because there's no formal sidewalks. So what are we gonna have, like a special squad of police people to go down there and check tables and, you know, parking and things?
Mr. Dobson?
Yeah, so Ed, I can answer the table question. So really a team effort. We have periodic routine health inspections, and quite frequently the health department is letting our office know a business that does not have a common victualler license has seating. We reach out to the business and we enforce it through that mechanism, through those routine inspections. To answer your question, we would be informed usually through the health department. It'd be a zoning enforcement matter if they did have too many tables, because what they're doing is they're submitting a site plan, both with this application, with their building permit, saying we're only going to have a certain amount of tables with a certain amount of seats because this is the available parking we have. If they go beyond those amount of tables and seats, well, then they don't have the adequate parking, and then it becomes a zoning enforcement issue.
And you better hope they're not folding tables. In other words, you go in, you say you can't have them, they fold them up, you leave, and then they set them up again. That does happen in the real world, you know? I have nothing to gain from this, okay? I'm talking on behalf of the neighborhood that I grew up in. It's a neighborhood. It's 200 feet deep. Look at the businesses along that street there, in that area, Fairlawn. There was a drugstore that's out of business. There's a seamstress, Golden Needle. There was a dentist. There's a small market. At one time, there was a large market, but now it's a men's clothing store. There's a hardware store. None of these are really high volume, you know? The next step from here, you understand, is ask her if she's got a liquor license down in Quincy or wherever she is. I mean, that's the next step. See, you don't cook a frog in hot water. You put it in lukewarm water. You know the antidote. And you let it, you know, kind of get used to it, and then you boil it.
But that's not being applied for.
Right.
So I still don't have a comfortable feeling about this waiting area. And I wish the town would say to me, yeah. She does this 3 times. You're gonna revoke her license? You're gonna take the common vicular's license away? I don't know. I mean, like I said, we started out with 74 parking places. We're down to 12 now. We have a lot of takeout with an enormous counter. We got a 65 to 70% retail area for waiting. I mean, it's probably the right business, but just in the wrong area. Should be down by White City where the parking lots are, 300 by 400, 500 feet. But I still didn't get an answer, okay? And I'm not trying to aggravate you guys on who is going to police this. I mean, The building inspector has a lot better things to do, okay? And the police department have a lot better things to do than hand out parking tickets. So, that's something you gotta take into an account. Like I said, it's a size 12 shoe going into a size 12 foot going into a size 3 shoe. It's a fit, and we're allowing them to do this. And, you know, you can say, well, by law, they can do this and that there. Well, until you have to live in that situation. I mean, I'm surprised we had 3 or 4 people here, because, you know the adage, you can't fight City Hall. Well, that's the belief of many people. I'm not here to fight City Hall, okay? I'm here to say, we've been through this on Gleason Road, okay? We know what it is to have people yell at you and it's your own driveway, okay? So, we don't want that happening over there. And on the same vein, I'm saying, okay, you give them the permit, show me the tools of which you're going to police this 65% or 50% waiting area. I want to know who's going to do that. And if there is violations, how many violations does it take before you finally say, hey, you know what, you're making a fool of us? So, I think we got to think about this before we hand out any licenses. Thank you again.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public?
I don't
Michelle.
think, thank you. I don't think Mr. Majori's question about snow removal was answered. Is that about, you know, addressing the sight lines coming off of Tatum Road onto Route 9?
So I can answer that.
Sure.
I mean, it would be addressed if that becomes an issue, right? I mean, Mass DOT and the town, we addressed that in various locations along Route 9 and Route 20. Collaboratively, we have in the past, and, you know, there'll be no tolerance for that. They'll have to move the snow if that's what happens on a given event. I understand it's a small site. I assume the parking lot was plowed when the prior businesses operated there as well. But if it becomes a sightline issue, we'll enforce it.
Okay. May I ask another question? We had some correspondence that came in today, so it's not on our agenda, from a resident in the neighborhood that had asked about the possibility of some sort of traffic control measures that could be put into place in the neighborhood. How, you know, signage, no parking signage, children at play signage, like those types of things. How can residents pursue those types of actions to try to protect their neighborhood?
Sure. As I said earlier, we're hesitant to put any traffic restriction signs in place at the outset of the business until we see what the traffic patterns are going to be. For instance, if we'd restrict right turns and there are residents from the neighborhood that would frequent the business, drive there, they would have to make a left turn and go out onto Route 9 and then try to circumnavigate their way back in a westernly fashion. So we would like to understand what's going on there and look at the traffic patterns and see what happens. When it comes to other concerns the neighborhood has already had with sight lines at some of the neighborhood streets, we've already addressed those by sending letters out to remove bushes and I believe add a stop sign that used to be there, if I have that right. With regards to children at play, those are advisory signs that fall under one of the board's policies, and they could petition the board for consideration for the installation. That does require the resident to cover the cost of the sign since it is advisory and not enforceable, but there are those options if that's a request of the neighborhood that we can certainly support them through.
Any other questions or comments? Not seeing any. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. What's the pleasure of the board? Understanding that we've heard concerns, but it's also comment, what is in front of us is the license at a by right usage for the land. What would the,
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, Beth was trying to sort of set the stage of what is, you know, under the purview of this board. But I think we'd be remiss if we didn't just reflect on what we've heard and acknowledge this push-pull in this town of people want more economic development. These, the applicant has bought this commercial property. They have the right to establish this, this business. But the neighbors have valid concerns. And so I would just ask the applicant to please listen to what you've heard. By going into this establishment, these are your neighbors. You know, we welcome you to the community, and I personally would just ask that you listen to the concerns and, you know, do everything that you can to address them, to ensure that the issues that are being speculated don't become a reality. But with that said.
Well, I want to just make a comment before you make the motion, please. I'm really concerned about this, understanding that, you know, it's by right, so it did not have to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. It did not have to go to the Planning Board. If I had my way, I would vote no on this because I am deeply concerned about the impact on the neighborhood. It's clear to me that this is going to become something that is an ongoing issue. That this board is probably going to hear about quite regularly. Mr. Paquette was asking who's going to police it. I think it's going to be policed because we're going to hear the complaints, right? And then we're going to need to figure out some path forward. I certainly want to be business friendly, 100% want to welcome new businesses to the community, but I think that we are trying to shoehorn this business in here, and unfortunately, we don't have a mechanism by which to say no to this. Because it is not within our purview. The kinds of issues that we're talking about are issues of zoning and planning, and we are simply deciding whether or not to grant a common victuals license. So I understand that, you know, we don't have the option to put the kinds of restrictions onto this property that would be able to soften the impact for the neighborhood, and I find that, you know, deeply unfortunate. So I just wanted to preface that because I think that we really only are able to say yes or no to the common victuals license, and if it were to be denied on something that is allowable by right, that does open us up to legal ramifications because it wouldn't be based on, you know, anything other than not thinking it was a good fit for the location.
I don't really have anything to add to that, but I just want to echo their sentiments, both Ms. Flynn and Ms. Casavant. I agree with them on both. We, you know, our hands are sort of tied in our decision here, but, and, you know, I think this is a great business that I would love to see in Shrewsbury. I don't think it's a great location, and I am very concerned for the neighborhood. So, you know, I really hope the applicants respect the neighborhood and, you know, I have a lot of concerns about it, so.
Yeah, nothing much more to add to that. I appreciate the neighbors for coming out and speaking to us and voicing those concerns, and hope that the applicant is taking notes and that they will be good neighbors to the residents that live in the area, because I think that that's just important for everyone, for us to, you know, try to make sure that we're maintaining the relationships that the businesses are having with the local community. I understand our hands are a little bit tied on this, so I also have, of course, the same concerns, but understand our role and purview.
Can I ask one question? So as far as I've, you know, picked up cakes at the bean counter. I've stopped in for coffee a million times. And the parking lot was, it was tough, really tough. Especially on a busy Saturday, picking up a birthday cake or something like that. Is there an option for the business to add a driveway directly onto Route 9 that would be like an entrance only and they would exit out onto Tatum Road? Is that something that they could ever consider? And, you know, that would hopefully alleviate some of the concerns.
I can't fully answer that. If I had to guess, I would say DOT would not permit that.
Okay. Because there are most of the businesses actually along that neighborhood on Route 9 have direct entrance and.
I doubt that they would grant a new one because of the, I mean, generally in a 4-lane highway, in that situation, there's 5 or 6 lanes in that area. DOT is trying to limit the ingress and egress points to the maximum extent possible, and when you have a side street or corner lot like this, they want you to come off the controlled intersection.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I just want to add, appreciate, Mr. Manager, your commitment to doing the traffic study and to making sure that we're monitoring that so that we can take any next steps necessary if it does become a major problem, so.
Yeah, and, you know, just ask residents, I appreciate all of you coming in to express your concerns here. You know, please keep in touch if there are ongoing issues. We definitely want to address them in whatever ways we're able to.
Okay. Teresa, go ahead.
I'm just thinking, I hate sitting here and saying things like our hands are tied or it's beyond our control. So I would ask the manager to do everything we can to not be reactive, to be as proactive as possible in taking measures. I understand that the traffic study will help with that, but if we can just focus on these particular residents and what they've raised and work with them to ensure that we're mitigating issues, you know, before they happen. And again, maybe this is having a different type of interaction with the establishment to ensure that we are doing everything we can to prevent the concerns from happening. I think from a resident perspective, it's very frustrating for them to hear the comments that they're hearing here. And I think it's frustrating for residents when they hear that this is not necessarily something that the town fully supports, but there's nothing that they can do about it. So I think that that's something we have to reflect on and see what we can do about.
Okay. Anything else? What's the pleasure of the board?
I move the board approve the application of Claire Chen of Greenie Inc., DBA BBQ Chicken Shrewsbury for a common victular license conditioned on the issuance of a certificate of occupancy and the applicant providing proof of workers' compensation coverage.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda. Thank you for coming in this evening.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is a meeting with Erin Moline, proposed manager on behalf of Tavern in the Square Shrewsbury LLC, DBA Tavern in the Square, 193 Boston Turnpike, regarding a change of manager application to their Section 12 all alcohol license. This item requests the board to approve the change of manager application of Tavern in the Square Shrewsbury. The current manager is Renato Valentim, and the proposed new manager is Erin Mullaney. There are no other changes. This is not a public hearing, but this is a procedural change. Is the proposed manager here?
She is online.
Good evening. Ms. Moline,
Hello.
how are you? Welcome.
Good. How are you? Thanks.
Welcome. So this is a pretty straightforward request to change managers. Not a hearing. Just a quick question. I assume you're tip certified.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Any other questions? We have the paperwork in here. They provided everything that we need. Corey's fine. Any questions? Okay. If there aren't any, I'll entertain a motion.
I move the board approve the change of manager application.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thanks for waiting.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is it's a meeting with Burton's Grill of Shrewsbury LLC, DBA Burton's Grill and Bar, 193 Boston Turnpike, regarding a change of hours application to their Section 12 all alcohol license. This item requests a change of hours Monday through Sunday as follows. So Monday through Friday, the open time would stay the same. It's 11:30 a.m. The close time would extend out an hour, so Monday through Thursday would go from 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Friday would go open again 11:30 a.m. closed from 10:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. And then Saturday and Sunday would still open at 10:30 a.m., but on Saturday, the change would be a close from 10:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m., and from Sunday, it'd be from 9 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. As I said, this is not a public hearing, as a change of hours does not require a legal advertisement, abutters notification or public hearing under the ABCC requirements. And we have all the documentation that we need.
Correct. And if there's any questions, Frank Parzik, the current manager, is on the line as well.
Good evening, Mr. Parzik. Thanks for joining. Colleagues, any questions or comments for Mr. Parzik? Aren't any. There not being any, what's the pleasure of the board?
I move the board approve the change of hours application.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Parzik.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is under financial business to review fiscal projection 2 for fiscal year 2026. Mr. Snowden.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
All right. Wait for it to get pulled up. So I'm looking forward to the opportunity tonight to review the updates to fiscal projection 2 since our last meeting on April 8th. This is the same budget that was presented to the Finance Committee on April 17th and also included in the town meeting warrant, but I wanted to have the opportunity to go through these figures with the select board as well to answer any questions. So on the next slide, really, this is what we saw last time, except that we're going to be going over a few items that are different than April 8th, 2025 meeting. All right, so on this first slide, we're going over the revenues for fiscal projection 2. The main difference here is in local receipts. There's about a $200,000 increase in local receipts, and this represents funding that we are anticipating through the IMA that we're going to be establishing for the new health alliance, and they'll be talking about that later this afternoon. So this will be funds from the supporting communities that will be used to offset the new health collaborative. And free cash has also been reduced by $2,000. There's also an increase in the other available funds, which was anticipated. This is for the CPA projects, both the anticipation of revenue coming in and then also the projects to be expended later. So in total, $2.4 million in change in the revenue.
Sorry, Dave, Can we just go back over free cash? Just what's the delta caused by?
Okay. The delta is $200,000 different from April 8th.
Okay.
There was initially in April 8th we had increased the free cash. Did I say free cash or?
Yeah, free cash.
Yeah.
Why am I? Oh, free cash has been reduced by $2,000. I'm sorry.
Okay.
In comparison to where we were.
April 8th. I'm sorry.
Okay. Got it.
I apologize for getting
Trying
lost
to
there.
reconcile between the.
We were able. Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
All right, no problem. Moving now on expenditures. Again, you'll see the same difference between fiscal projection 1 of $2.411 million. The main adjustments here from the April 8th meeting are going to include the warrant articles, again, which includes the CPA appropriations, and then the adjustments to the municipal expense line by about $202,000, which is associated to the funding appropriated for the Health Alliance. If we go to this next slide here, there's really no major changes here. We have the archive social subscription in the town manager's office. We have the salary and wage adjustments for the human capital position. And these other items had been reviewed in the previous town meeting. There was some consolidation of funds across Department of Public Works and centralizing those costs in the business management division. There is the increase in Selco rates and the increase in the communications officer stipend. Now if we go to the next slide, we have the intra-department adjustments. This is really the vast majority of the changes. We are transferring from the health department operating expenses and professional services to salary and wages and full-time, the amount of $286,000. And this is for the regional public health IMA. And then within the police department, we transferred from operating expenses, annual subscriptions, to salary and wages full-time, to help offset the cost of the mental health clinician. This was a grant that we are no longer anticipating receiving to cover the cost of the mental health clinician, and we're going to be adjusting the police budget in order to maintain those services, as we found them very helpful in the past years. And then again, now we're looking at the utilities. There is no change from the April 8th meeting, but we can review this. In total, there's a delta of 120,000, a reduction of 5,000 in the separate appropriations for solid waste as we updated our fiscal figures. An increase of 12,500 both in water and sewer to fund the DPW safety training program, and then also 100,000 to be appropriated into the water stabilization fund. And that summarizes the changes in fiscal projection 2, and then the brief changes from our April 8th meeting as well.
Colleagues, any questions? Mr. Snowden?
I would just like to say I'm glad to see that we're able to make the adjustment to fund the mental health clinician for the police department. I think the service that they've offered to the community has been incredibly important to the families that they've helped. So it's avoided a lot of additional pain during what can be some really tough days for families. So I'm glad that we're able to fund that.
Thank you. Any? Nothing else? Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda, under new business, review and act on the 2025 license renewals to include the following license types: garage and dealer of precious metals. And then we have the attached list to the agenda. As you know, the board renews licenses at the end of December and April annually. This item requests the board's approval for licenses expiring at the end of April 2025, including garage and dealer in precious metals licenses. There is one garage license not renewing due to closing their business, Dent and Scratch, which is included also in the drive there. There is also one garage licensee with a conditional renewal, Clinton Motor Cars LLC, which has outstanding personal property taxes dating back to 2026. So I assume we're, Justin, that we're approving the list with the conditional approval for Clinton upon payment.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I move the board approve the license renewal applications with the renewal of certain licenses conditional upon the recommendation of the town manager as outlined on the list attached to the agenda.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded, and all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item under new business, to review and act on the road closure request from Guinevere Molina, Lindsay Heffernan, and Brian Murphy for Wachusett Avenue from Bryan Avenue to Longfellow Road on Saturday, May 31st, 2025, from 1:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. with a rain date of Saturday, June 7th, 2025 for a neighborhood block party. They've been doing this for 10 years with no problem. The request had been reviewed also by Chiefs Anderson and Colby. They've been reported no issues with these crazy people having the annual block party. So any questions, comments? If not, is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. I hope they have great weather. Next item on the agenda is to review and act on the 2025 affordable housing rent increase for Audubon Shrewsbury. This agenda item asks us to review the 2025 affordable housing rent increase from Audubon Shrewsbury. These requests occur annually and require a certified vote from the Select Board and approval by the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, otherwise known as the EOHLC. Each property that has these units with affordability restrictions submits a request before increasing rent in these units. These adjustments are formula-based decisions. As such, the approval of the requested adjustments is recommended within our materials. We had a letter from Mr. McGoldrick, Director of Planning. We have the calculations themselves, and these again are formulaic, right, Mr. Mizikar?
They are, that's correct.
Any questions or comments? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item is similar, requesting, like the prior one, that the clerk sign the certified vote, which is similar for Bell Shrewsbury. Same request, 2025 affordable housing rent increase, same formulaic approach. The calculations are in the drive together with a letter from Mr. McGoldrick supporting the request itself and recommending support of that approval. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to review and act to request an extension from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, MSBA, regarding the establishment of a local school building committee. As part of the MSBA, I almost said different acronym, MSBA process, the town must establish a local school building committee. The deadline presented by the MSBA is May 2nd. However, as you know, our town meeting isn't until May 19th, 2025, so this is to request an extension. This had been done in the past as well, Mr. Mizikar, with similar building projects due to the timing of our annual town meeting, and there's the same request here. We have had correspondence with the MSBA. They know that this is coming. This is just part of the formal request to have additional time to comply with the process. Any questions? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to review and act on the streetlight request of Harshal Patel, 136 Old Mill Road, for streetlights to be installed in the vicinity of Old Mill Road and Harrington Avenue. This item arises from a request received for the installation of additional lights at the intersection of Old Mill Road and Harrington Avenue. As you recall, back on October 8th, 2024, based on Selco's recommendation, we approved a streetlight located at or around 136 Old Mill Road. However, since that time, there have been subsequent requests from Mr. Patel based on a couple accidents that were there. What we had sought at a prior meeting was additional information regarding those accidents and to help us determine whether or not it was based on additional lighting or other circumstances other than the lighting that could inform whether or not we decide to have Selco look at additional requested lights. What we do have from the police reports, one was a U-turn that was done not in a necessarily wise manner, and the second one, unfortunately, the driver was impaired based on the information that we have here. However, Mr. Patel was concerned about this, still with the lighting, and whether or not there's a couple police reports that have other mitigating circumstances still doesn't preclude us from requesting Selco to take a look at this if the board so desires. So what's the request of the board?
May I ask a question, Mr.
Sure.
Is there a possibility that we could have a review of some of the, lighting, signage, safety features at that intersection? I know we have, there were these 2 accidents that happened over the last 6 months or so, but, knowing some folks who live in the area, there's sort of like a frequent concerns about safety at that intersection, especially, at night, in the rain, situations like that, where, there's the curve and the bridge, and could we have our department, do some sort of review of what options we have available to us to improve safety there?
Absolutely. We can have the traffic study committee take a look at the intersection.
Thank
And we did make changes to that intersection, I don't know, many years ago now, but.
Yeah.
With Lakeway
Right when Lakeway
Commons.
came
the
in.
development
Yeah, yeah.
required. Yep.
But how long ago was that?
8 years.
A couple of years
8?
ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say 10. Oop,
It was my first year on the board.
Yep.
It was one of the first things I went to. Yeah.
Goes by fast.
Lots
So,
of time shopping there.
so one of the things we can do is we can send this to Selco to have them look at additional lighting. So that addresses one part of it. The second part, as Mr. Mizikar said, can look at it from the other vantage point. So whatever you'd like to do, we can always send it to Selco and have them take a look at it.
Yeah.
No harm with that.
Does Selco ever say we don't need a light here?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's an objective look at this. Right. Okay, then I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Okay with that? What's the pleasure of the board?
I have a question just
Sure.
for future streetlight requests. Is there a way that we could think about having perhaps like an OpenGov form on the site for folks to just be able to submit those rather than sending an email? I just feel like it's a little bit more onerous because I feel like folks may not know where to go. That's just my thought. 'Cause
Doesn't it have to, does it not have to come through us? Or you're just saying have it go through?
just like a form, like a form rather than them sending an email.
I see what you're saying.
I feel like it's a little bit easier. Just a thought.
It's procedural, however. Okay, so with respect to this request, what's the pleasure of the board? To send it to Selco and have them look at additional lighting? Does that work?
So moved.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. So let's send the request to Selco and see what their recommendation is, understanding the residents' concern. Great. Next item on the agenda is to review and act to adopt a municipal equity policy pursuant to the Cannabis Control Commission's Code of Massachusetts Regulations, otherwise known as CMR. By way of background, an act relative to equity in the cannabis industry, Chapter 180 of the Acts of 2022, was signed into law by then-Governor Charlie Baker on August 11, 2022. The act imposed new restrictions on host community agreements and granted the Cannabis Control Commission with the authority to review and approve all HCAs. Notably, a significant restriction is a prohibition on charging community impact fees unless they can be documented and are reasonably related to costs arising from the operations of the marijuana business. In addition to regulating the HCAs, the Act requires the CCC to establish procedures and minimum standards for municipalities to promote and encourage full participation in the regulated marijuana industry from communities disproportionately harmed by cannabis prohibition and enforcement. The initial compliance date was May 1st of 24, but the CCC did not promulgate the guidelines on how to comply until May 9, 2024, such the CCC is committed to not begin enforcement efforts until at least May 1st, 2025. So being April 29th, we're still within it. The draft social equity policy to be compliant with the latest CCC requirements on disproportionately harmed communities has been reviewed by Town Council. The primary CCC requirement is the creation of a local approval process whereby a general applicant cannot be approved until after a social equity business has commenced operations, which the policy includes. And we do have one social equity business currently located in the community, which is Finest Trees LLC. And Council for Finest Trees has expressed interest in updating the HCA. If the board were to adopt the policy, authorize an updated compliant HCA to be executed, and the establishment commences operations, and the above reference requirement will be satisfied. So there are two things here under 18 would be to adopt the municipal equity policy pursuant to the CCC's code under CMR, their requirements. The second part, if we move forward with that as well, is to sign an HCA with Finest Trees. So under 18, what's the pleasure of the board on the equity policy?
I move the board approve the municipal equity policy as proposed.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is part 2 of that, to review and act to authorize the town manager to sign a host community agreement with Finest Trees LLC. Yeah, it's basically looked at the HCA and made changes as required to comply with the statute, and the changes were within the drive. So it's just to comply with law. So sorry, I interrupted you, Teresa.
I think I interrupted you, Mr. Chair.
You're perfect.
Apologize, but so moved. Move the motion.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded, and all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is to review an act to terminate the intermunicipal agreement with the City of Worcester for public health services. This item requests the Select Board's approval for the termination of the intermunicipal agreement with the City of Worcester for public health services pursuant to the terms of the IMA. Either party may terminate the agreement for convenience as long as 60 days' notice is provided, and we have a draft termination notice as drafted by Town Council. Mr. Mizikar, you want to provide a little additional color on this?
I do.
Please. Thank you.
So, as this board is well aware, the town of Shrewsbury and the city of Worcester started a public health partnership almost 15 to 20 years ago, and Shrewsbury and the city of Worcester were first aligned even before the larger Regional Public Health Alliance was created, because Shrewsbury and Worcester saw the value in coming together to share in the cost of services and do more than we could as individuals. So what's before you tonight is actually to move in a different direction and end that agreement that's fully documented through, end a partnership that's fully documented through the intermunicipal agreement, which, as the chair just described, requires a 60-day notice to the city of Worcester. The Central Mass Regional Public Health Alliance is truly exceptional, and it has been. It's the first regional public health entity in the United States to receive full accreditation for how it operated. There have been many single municipal units that had done so, but Central Mass Regional Public Health Alliance was the first in the nation to do it from a regional basis. And I truly want to thank all the municipal partners that Shrewsbury has worked with, most importantly and most especially the city of Worcester for their steadfast leadership and collaboration. But why we're looking to make a change is, as everyone at the table here tonight knows, local governments are navigating increasingly complex public health challenges, and we need to continue to evaluate and evolve to meet the needs of our individual communities. Shrewsbury looks forward to building upon the strong foundation from the Regional Alliance and pursuing new opportunities with other municipalities to enhance public services for our residents, as does all the other existing members of the Regional Public Health Alliance as we know it today. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with the board, select board, the Board of Health, and other municipal partners in the Massachusetts Office of Local and Regional Public Health as we transition to a new service model. For Shrewsbury, this will allow us and other regional partners to effectively implement the new standard in the state, which is the Foundational Public Health Services Framework, which has been enacted through two critical pieces of legislation over the last few years and was further recommended initially through the Blueprint of Public Health that was published in 2019. So this is really an opportunity for all communities in the region to take a look at how we've been providing services, understand what a modern framework and a current framework needs to be, really post-COVID, and move in a different direction will be more effective for all of us. So again, many thanks to the City of Worcester for their leadership, and I look forward to working with the board on the next steps for public health here in Shrewsbury.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Or motion?
Move the board vote to terminate the intermunicipal agreement with the City of Worcester for public health services.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda, number 21, is to review and act on the town manager's appointment of Rachel Pearl Howell, 42 Knowlton Avenue, to the Historical Commission to fill a vacant seat with a term to expire on June 30th, 2027, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 8D. Any questions or comments? Is our votes required to confirm the employment? None? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item, to review and act on the performance evaluation for town manager. So let me set the table a little bit. Sorry, this is going to take me a little bit to go through it, but it's worthwhile. So in terms of process, consistent with open meeting law requirements, Mr. Thompson, who has summarized all of our feedback, has obtained individual reviews from each of us, none of whom have seen the others until 15 minutes prior to the meeting. The composite evaluation was put together based on all of our individual scores and feedback, and the review is broken out essentially into three parts. We have goal focus areas. There were 5 of those. There were technical competencies. There were 14 of those. There was a third area related to peer feedback, or part of a 360 review that Mr. Mizikar has requested over the last few years for candid feedback from those who report to him. So that's the third part of the review, and then there's an overall score. In terms of ratings, it's rated in the following ascending scale. Here's the order from, just give me a second. Unsatisfactory, needs improvement, meets standards 1, 2, 3, exceeds standard 4, and outstanding is 5. In addition to providing numerical scores, each of us provided feedback. What I will do for each of these areas will provide the scores and a brief summary, for example, of the focus areas. And then after reading through the various focus areas, I'll provide highlights of the various feedback from each member. Similarly, when we go through the technical areas, I'll provide the aggregate or the average score. And then at the end, the way the composite review is, I'll read and highlight commentary from members. I'll also provide the overall score. We did have feedback as well to the comments we received as part of the 360 review process. So here we go. There are 5 focus areas. Focus area 1, financial stability and resource management. Under our strategic plan outcome area, exceptional. The focus area details budget and resource constraints, limited financial resources and budgetary constraints impacting the ability to invest in staff, improvements and maintain services, frequent override model uncertainty, reliance on frequent overrides for sustaining growth and services creating financial instability, and 3, long-term planning and fiscal responsibility, need for effective long-term financial planning and responsible fiscal stewardship to ensure sustainable growth. Under focus area 1, Mr. Mizikar received a score of 5.0, outstanding. Focus area 2, trust, community engagement, and communication. The strategic plan outcome area is engaged and connected. The focus area details building trust and transparency to address misinformation, improving public perception, and building and trust and confident town employees and government. Community engagement, enhancing resident engagement, civil discourse, and fostering a strong relationship between the town government and residents. And public information accessibility, ensuring the town is seen as the primary source of accurate information and improving communication channels. Overall, in focus area 2, Mr. Mizikar received an average score of 3.8, between meets and exceeds standard. Under focus area 3, organizational culture and workforce development. The strategic plan outcome area is exceptional. Focus area details include a unified organizational culture, developing a centralized sense of culture and purpose, and strengthening the work community. Employee growth and retention, creating opportunities for professional development, addressing high turnover, and improving job satisfaction. And finally, cross-development collaboration, enhancing cross-training, reducing silos, and improving knowledge sharing among departments. Under focus area 3, Mr. Mizikar received an average score of 4.8, between exceeding standard and outstanding. Focus area 4, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Strategic plan outcome area, thriving. Focus area details, DEI principles, incorporating diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging principles into policies, programs, and priorities. Under focus area 4, Mr. Mizikar received an average score of 3.2, which is between meet standard and exceed standard. Under focus area 5, efficiency and innovation in operations. The strategic plan outcome areas are exceptional, engaged and connected, sustainable. Focus area details include digital transformation and modernization, moving away from outdated paper-based processes to more efficient digital workflows and services. Cybersecurity and data protection, ensuring the security of digital data and implementing robust disaster recovery plans. And proactive customer service, setting a standard of excellence in customer service and ensuring reliable and effective municipal services. And finally, formalized strategies in critical areas including economic development, housing production. Under focus area 5, Mr. Mizikar received a weighted average score of 3.8. So I'm now going to read some comments under this part, so bear with me. There we go. So, under board members' comments on goal focus area, this is not all the comments, but did the best to avoid, there's a lot of similar comments, so I'll read try not to duplicate. Feedback from members as follows. Mr. Mizikar is committed to all stakeholders understanding the financial model and has facilitated several workshops with the school committee and the finance committee at the request of the select board. He recognizes the importance of frequently engaging with the school committee, the finance committee, and the community on the override model, how and why it works, and what is needed to perpetuate this model when the override stabilization fund is depleted. I'm grateful for all the work that Kevin does to model out different scenarios to put the town in a position of financial strength. Building trust in local government is something that Mr. Mizikar and the Select Board are committed to. Having Taylor Galusha in her role has helped us to make significant strides in engaging residents and providing information in a variety of ways. The referendum on MBTA communities offers opportunities to improve on community engagement and building trust in local government. We must continue to improve how we engage with those who are mistrustful of local government and be more intentional about expectations for residents who are attending public meetings and those who are voting in elections in a number of ways. Mr. Mizikar has taken a number of steps to make himself more available to residents by implementing office hours and holding common ground roundtable discussions about the fiscal year 26 budget. There is work to be done to ensure that the town is seen as the primary source of information rather than the community Facebook pages. However, I am pleased with the work that Mr. Mizikar is doing himself and with Taylor Galusha. From the interviews with staff that I participated in as part of Mr. Mizikar's 360 review, his efforts to build a culture are noticed and appreciated. Many noted how much they enjoy working for Kevin and have a strong sense of fulfillment from their work in being part of a team. He empowered Human Resources Director Christina Ordang to work with the Personnel Board on modernizing the town's personnel bylaw to include paid family medical leave, making Shrewsbury the first municipality in the Commonwealth to offer this benefit. Making employees feel seen and valued is something that Kevin does really well. He's invested in everyone's development and success and takes the time to understand what interests and inspires people as a way to get better outcomes. A great deal of work has been done in the final focus area, efficiency and innovation in operations, as departments move away from paper-based processes. I hear from residents who appreciate being able to apply for a permit online and check on the status of a permit from home at any time of the day, and know that even the application process for community preservation projects is digital, which is an improvement over last year. Kevin has demonstrated strong strategic leadership. His initiative in developing a 12-week goal cycle reflects a commitment to transparency, accountability, and measurable progress. Kevin continues to deliver outstanding results in fiscal stewardship. Mr. Mizikar introduced office hours, participated in common ground roundtables, and continued the rollout of the Shrewsbury Way Emerging Leaders Academy, reflecting a commitment to accessibility and meaningful resident engagement. He's prioritized organizational structure, creating a unified and purpose-driven environment. He's taken a thoughtful, measured approach to operational modernization. Notably, he positioned Shrewsbury as a municipal innovation leader by designing and hosting a local government artificial intelligence summit attended by over 30 cross-sector partners. Engaging with the community is one of the manager's priorities that I continue to see him improve in. Starting with the common ground roundtables have had good attendance, and I hope the manager continues to use this as a tool to engage with residents directly. As information continues to be spread fast, I would like to see if the manager's office could be more flexible and nimble in getting information out. The manager should also, when he is able, be physically present at community events and build trust with residents directly. The manager continues to be a leader that builds up everyone around him in the organization. The manager has done much to support DEI initiatives across town, including the dementia-friendly initiatives at Senior Center, ADA improvements at Dean Park, and continuing to improve accessibility in our public buildings when resources are available. Mr. Mizikar's financial stability and resource management continues to be exemplary. Through strong fiscal discipline, the town now forecasts financial resources for at least 7 years as opposed to the original 2021 override commitment of 4 years. Did an outstanding job at the recent April Tri-Board meeting to educate Finance Committee and School Committee members, given that many members were not in the current roles in 2021. There was just acknowledgement of the various ways he uses to communicate through the town manager download podcast, Common Ground, regular departmental updates during the select board meetings. Also, the town manager monthly update has been appreciated and recognized by many members. Mr. Mizikar is a champion of empowering his team through a positive, collaborative, and supportive environment. He understands that the town's success depends upon the continuous development of all town staff, including himself. Employees throughout the organization continue to expand their knowledge base, skill set, and confidence. He's open-minded and exclusive, and with respect to technology, the business systems analyst position continues to drive productivity and efficiency. For example, Ms. Tierney drove the team's leveraging of OpenGov permitting and licensing to consolidate 88 forms from 15 different departments into a single platform, which led to a 36% increase in online records created and a 37% boost in revenue collection. So as a result, in October 24, the town received a high-performance government award for its impressive business transformations centered around customer self-service. Departmental presentations to the Select Board have increased transparency and enhanced both the board's and the public's understanding of operational needs, achievements, and strategic direction. He has demonstrated a strong commitment to modernizing town's operations. He established an artificial intelligence working group to responsibly explore opportunities for AI-driven improvements in service delivery and operational efficiency. He's fostered a culture of trust, loyalty, and empowerment in the organization. And the performance evaluation system, 360 reviews, and new staff feedback initiatives have been instrumental in driving performance and alignment with organizational goals. He remains a motivational and engaging leader, committed to coaching and mentoring with a clear focus on staff growth and well-being. His efforts to build regional partnerships and collaborative service models have improved service delivery, modernized operations, and kept costs low for residents. And his establishment of the human leadership team has meaningfully advanced conversations around equity and inclusion within the organization and the community. So that's a little bit overlapping, but I tried to cover as many different areas as possible. And that is the comments under the focus areas, the 5 focus areas. So, Part B. Drum roll, please. There are 14.
With a bang, Mr. Chair.
There are 14 categories, and what I will do is I'm going to read the category and just the summary below it. There's a leadership and management component with each, but rather than read each, I think just talking about what the category is in the direct summary below makes the most sense, given that there are 14 categories, and you'll get the intent of each of the 14 numerical ratings, plus we want to get home before midnight, so you know. Category 1, personal and professional integrity, being fair, honest, and ethical in all personal and professional relationships and activities. Average score is 4.8, between exceeds expectations and outstanding. Category 2, community engagement, ensuring and managing community involvement in local government to support good decision-making. Average score, 4.2, between exceeds, standard, and outstanding. Category 3, equity and inclusion, creating an environment of involvement, respect, and connection of diverse areas, backgrounds, and talent through the organization and the community. Average score, 3.6, between meets and exceeds standard. Category 4, staff effectiveness, taking responsibility for the development, performance, and success of employees throughout the organization. Average score, 4.4, between exceeds standard and outstanding. Category 5, personal resiliency and development, demonstrating a commitment to a balanced life through ongoing self-renewal and development in order to increase personal capacity. Average score, 4.6, between exceeds standard and outstanding. Category 6, strategic leadership, defining and communicating a vision and leveraging all resources and tools to achieve it. Average score, 4.8, between exceeds standard and outstanding. Category 7, strategic planning, developing a plan of action that brings the community together, provides clarity of purpose and priorities, and guides the organization's actions in achieving its goals and objectives. Average score, 4.6, between exceed standard and outstanding. Category 8, policy facilitation and implementation, engaging with elected officials and other community stakeholders to create and execute policies that achieve common goals and objectives. Average score, 4.4, between exceed standard and outstanding. Category 9, community and resident service, discerning community needs and providing responsive, equitable services. Average score, 4.2, between exceed standard and outstanding. Category 10, service delivery, understanding the basic principles of service delivery, using strategic decision-making and continuous improvement to serve the organization and community, and influencing the components and relationships between operational areas. Average score, 4.2, between exceed standard and outstanding. Category 11, technological literacy, demonstrating an understanding of information technology and ensuring that it is incorporated appropriately in service delivery, information sharing, and public access. Average score, 4.2, between exceed standard and outstanding. Category 12, financial management and budgeting, implementing long-term financial analysis and planning that integrates strategic planning and reflects a community's values and priorities, preparing and administering the budget. Average score, 5, outstanding. Category 13, human resources, management, and workforce development, ensuring that the policies and procedures of the organization are applied consistently and fairly, and motivating and engaging the workforce to its highest potential. Average score, 4.6, between exceed standard and outstanding. Last category, category 14, communications and information sharing, effectively facilitating the flow of ideas, information, and understanding. Average score, 4.2, between exceed standard and outstanding. Similarly, there was a comment box, and I'll get to that as well past B, this section of the technical competencies. Okay, some highlights here. So the way this was done generally was members would provide general commentary, wouldn't break out necessarily each competency area, otherwise it'd be probably about 18 paragraphs apiece. So I think it's fair that each member would look at the various technical competencies and comment based on he or she thought were the high polls for them in their commentary. So let me read some of the board members' comments on technical competencies. Moving to a 12-week goal cycle is just one example of Kevin's effectiveness as a leader as he models a growth mindset for his staff. So much of Mr. Mizakar's exemplary performance in these technical competency areas can be illustrated through the work on the Municipal Facilities Optimization Project. And just cited, over a year ago, Mr. Mizakar worked with the Select Board to map out capital improvement projects for the next 20 years as best as possible. As the MFOC began its work, Mr. Mizakar's role was one of oversight. He supported the work of the committee, and then there was acknowledgement of, in March, when the MFOC, the project team, discovered that the scope of work would exceed the initial estimate by $10 million, and a member cited Mr. Mizakar's demonstration of his competency with communication information sharing, understanding that while this situation was not necessarily ideal, the future of the project was clearly in jeopardy, but Mr. Mizakar, through his communication and responsiveness to a number of stakeholders, including staff, the building committee, to the select board, and ultimately the community, his ability to be nimble in these situations has at least brought the process forward at special town meeting. It was overall overwhelming support for that. And being able to be nimble in a situation like this when information is evolving and community trust is on the line exceeded this member's expectation. As an area of focus, as making sure that we have the right staff in place to support Mr. Mizakar in his role. There's a concern that he's very involved in daily operations, and a recognition that Shrewsbury is still very lean, and even with stable funding, there's insufficient revenue to hire additional staff and in some cases retain staff. as other communities may offer higher compensation, so there's a concern about retention, but also a concern about Mr. Mizikar sometimes having to go down in the weeds, as well as being able to go to the higher levels where he is as well. I supported Mr. Mizikar's work on a staffing plan and believe that we need to work with the Personnel Board to do a wage analysis to compare Shrewsbury to similar communities. A great deal of resources go into developing staff, and it's important to retain the people we are investing in. Kevin's strong technical skills and deep understanding of municipal operations are a tremendous asset to Shrewsbury. His expertise spans over a broad range of areas, including finance, infrastructure, public safety, and internal systems, allowing him to manage the complex demands of town operations. Kevin consistently leads with integrity and professionalism, setting a tone of accountability and transparency across the organization. Shrewsbury's fiscal strength and stability continue to be hallmarks of Kevin's leadership. The town consistently operates within budget, maintains a AAA bond rating, and adheres to the long-term stabilization plan he designed. Kevin also has demonstrated a strong ability to attract, retain, and develop top talent. He has enhanced community engagement by expanding access and communication through office hours, roundtables, newsletters, podcasts, and targeted updates. He is focused on stronger connections between residents and our town government. He also recognizes that trust and transparency are ongoing priorities, and that continued progress in this area is essential. In terms of overall performance, Kevin continues to be an outstanding town manager and a tremendous asset to Shrewsbury. His expertise, work ethic, accessibility, and commitment are exceptional. During this year, we have seen the hiring of a new fire chief and deputy, a DPW director, and a water sewer superintendent. The manager's ability to identify strong talent and assist with those hiring processes will continue to strengthen the town as key stakeholders are placed within the various departments. Mr. Mizikar continues to serve as an exemplary leader for Shrewsbury. He works very hard and consistently demonstrates the highest level of integrity and ethics. He's forward-thinking, fiscally responsible, and always focused on the best interests of our community and his staff. He is a calm and confident decision-maker, driven by excellence to be an excellent public servant. He has a clear vision for a world-class municipal operation and of a community that will enable all residents to thrive. Clearly explains even the most difficult subject matter so that it can be readily understood by everyone. Not only is he an effective communicator, but also an effective listener who encourages and uses feedback from the board, members of his organization, and the community as part of his decision-making process. Mr. Mizikar is a champion of empowering his team through a positive, collaborative, and supportive environment. Let's see. Talked about finance administration continues to be one of Mr. Mizikar's strongest skills. This was previously noted that his financial stability and resource management work continue to be exemplary, working together with David Snowden and Alex Martinez. Collectively, through strong fiscal discipline, the town now forecasts financial resources for at least 7 years under the override versus the originally committed to 4 years. Mr. Mizikar continues to meet with its school department on a regular basis to update each other about ongoing operational and financial matters. Mr. Mizikar's financial prowess continues to benefit Shrewsbury taxpayers. As a direct result of his efforts, S&P continues to give Shrewsbury a AAA bond rating, which was also cited earlier. Mr. Mizikar has undertaken many strategic initiatives to gain operational efficiencies and to reduce costs. These efforts have included a critical review of the West Suburban Health Group, which yielded a much lower insurance renewal rate for fiscal 26 and prior years. He is also exploring regionalization opportunities for public safety and public health opportunities. The town's proactive economic development initiatives have yielded positive outcomes for our community. Most importantly, over the past 2 years, commercial and industrial values have exceeded residential values, which has resulted in a more stable approximately 3% year-over-year property tax increase for town residents. Finally, outside of the pandemic, one of the most difficult challenges that Mr. Mizikar has had to face is the adoption of by right zoning as required under the MBTA Communities Act. The requirements of this act were originally presented to the board on March 8th, 2022. From the initial presentation to when town meeting approved on November 18th, 2024, Mr. Mizikar and his staff worked diligently to engage with the community to explain the legal requirements of the act, to listen and to gather feedback as part of the developing zoning compliance with the law, and to present a zone that would be minimally compliant and as responsive as possible to community feedback. Internal actions were not always smooth, and there were some errors made along the way. However, given the complexity of the issue and the inconsistencies in application and explanation from the Commonwealth and the EOHLC, I believe that Mr. Mizikar and his team did an effective job under the circumstances. I continue to be more impressed each day with Mr. Mizikar's constant drive to improve personally and to create opportunities for all members of his team to improve professionally and personally and to thrive, so that in turn each can serve Shrewsbury better. I believe that Mr. Mizikar is the best town manager in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Shrewsbury is truly fortunate to have Mr. Mizikar as its manager. So those are comments under Appendix B. So there's a third part. I promise I'll be briefer. In this, where are we? 45. Oh, I know what it is. This is related to the 360 review. This is just commentary under Section 3, direct report feedback. So Mr. Mizikar opted to have a 360 evaluation component, which personally I think demonstrates just great leadership when you're willing to take constructive feedback from those who report to you. It's included as part of his performance evaluation. Management and direct report staff were asked to complete an anonymous survey to provide feedback. The average scores as part of this survey were as follows: technology competency score, 4.32. Values guided behavior score, 4.05. Interdependent behavioral score, 4.05. Workplace communication score, 4.10. And leadership behavior score, 4.25. Same scale between 4 and 5, exceed standard and outstanding. So all of those fell between those. Commentary from members of the board. Mr. Mizikar's scores from the direct report feedback survey align with my observation of him and what I heard from staff that I interviewed as part of his review. There is consensus that Kevin is a strong leader who models the behavior he expects from others and holds himself to the highest professional standard. Excuse me. He is a role model and a mentor to many and seeks ways to push himself and others to be better. People feel empowered to try new things and know that if they fall short, they can turn to Mr. Mizikar for guidance and support as they work to improve. You get the same Kevin Mizikar every day, and that consistency sets the tone for the organization. Kevin is highly respected by his team and widely regarded as an exceptional leader. Direct reports consistently describe him as someone they trust, admire, and genuinely enjoy working with. He is the kind of leader people choose to follow, not because of his title, but because of who he is and how he treats others. The scores, the references to the scores. This is consistent with feedback received during the 360 review of staff. Constructive feedback from those reviews also included a desire for more consistency and reinforcement of expectations when needed, more direct engagement with staff, and finding balance for when to empower and when to be direct. During the 360 review process, Mr. Mizikar was universally described as highly invested in employee success. He empowers his direct reports through collaborative decision-making and transparent goal setting. He is recognized as calm under pressure and a collaborator who engages respectively and thoughtfully, externally and internally, even under very stressful situations. He has a buck stops here mentality and would never publicly blame an employee. It is no surprise why voluntary turnover is low and staff morale and excitement are high. It is because Mr. Mizikar is a smart, strategic, and compassionate leader who leads by example with the higher standards of integrity and professionalism. So that is all the sections of the focus areas, the 14 technical areas, the direct feedback, and his overall score is a 4.4, which is between exceed standards and outstanding. So I'll open the floor, but there was, as you can tell, exceptional, a lot of great feedback and praise for the performance of Mr. Mizikar over fiscal year '25. Some concern, I think, just about, do you have the resources that you need to be able to get to that higher level sometimes that you've talked about in the past? You have a lot on your plate. You do a great job. You inspire those within your organization, but also not be stretched too thin. I mean, at the end of the day, you've done a fantastic job for our community, but we want to make sure that you have what you need to do what you need to do. So I've talked a lot. I'll open the floor now to members. Any comments, additional feedback as part of this process? Michelle.
Thank you. A lot was just said. I just want to say thank you. I think the comments about your integrity are the most important ones that we can take away from this. So thank you for your service to our community, and thank you for being a leader that our organization, everyone in our organization can look up to. I think you've led us in to prepare for the future, and that's really critical. So thanks.
Yeah. Lots of great work, right? Hopefully you'll be able to, read through what was written. I was able to participate with Mr. Garcia in the 360 staff interviews, and the feedback was very honest, right? Very complimentary to your leadership style, and that people enjoy working for you, and they see this as being part of a team. You set the tone for the organization. Lots of great work done, but lots of great work still to be done, right? Look forward to working with you as we continue along the path of continuing to keep our community strong. We're really fortunate to have you as our manager. You're a visionary. I think that you have a long-term plan for this community. I was cleaning closets last week and found the binder from the first offsite we had when you first came to Shrewsbury. It was also my first offsite as a select board member, and to look back and see what you've accomplished since that point in time to now, like you have this plan and you're very methodically executing it. So I'm glad to be a part of that work with you and look forward to continuing it.
Carlos.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Mizikar, as Ms. Cassavant said, I had the pleasure of working with her on the 360 reviews with staff, and it was really a great opportunity to hear from staff directly who work with you every day here at Town Hall. You empower the staff, which is excellent, because there is a lot that the town is doing on all fronts, and a lot of that comes from the top in terms of the efficiency and their ability to focus and actually deliver on the work that we are doing for the community. So really appreciate just your leadership style and how you have bolstered the team here at Town Hall to really be leaders in themselves, which I think is great. And I know that will be very much appreciated when as much as I would love to keep all of our staff here, I know that many of them may move on to other communities and benefit other parts of our Commonwealth and perhaps our country, and I think that's really wonderful. And so really appreciate you for those, I think, really mentorship opportunities that you personally have provided for the staff. I also really appreciate that you have started the 12-week goal cycle that you was a takeaway from one of your professional development opportunities that you attended. I'm forgetting when it was that you went to that opportunity, but I think it's really been neat to see you be more hyper-focused on some of those goals so that we can, I think, get a lot more done in the year. So overall, just really thank you. I know I have shared this with you before, but as I travel the Commonwealth in my professional role, I hear your praises in communities all across the Commonwealth. So we're very lucky to have you.
I'll be brief. You're very good at what you do, Kevin, and I echo everyone's comments that we're very fortunate to have you. I know that some will sort of review this feedback and just say we're falling all over you and we're not holding you accountable, but we're the ones that work with you day in and day out. We see what you do on the daily. We challenge you all the time. This is sort of our time to take a step back, really look at your whole overall performance. And I think that you should be very proud of what you've accomplished. I think you should be exceptionally proud of the feedback from your team. And I think that, I've said this before, we are in a position where we become hyper aware of what goes on in other communities, and we see what happens when there is not effective management, when there is not someone in a leadership position that fosters talent and creates stability within the town. Are you perfect? No. But you're the first one to say that. And that's why I feel comfortable really focusing on your positive contributions. Because, we joked around earlier about the 7:45 meeting. It's like you're here at 7 a.m. all the time. You're here several nights a week, very late. People don't know that there are critical incidences that happen all the time, and you're on top of it, and you have to communicate with each of us individually. And, I think this is reflective not only of what you've accomplished, but all of the sort of issues that you've mitigated through your work. So I know that you aspire to continue to grow and develop, and I'm hopeful that this board, we know that, there will be at least one new member on this board, and that, that comes with, additional management on you, at least in the short term. But I think that the town benefits when you have a board that is committed to challenging you and making you better, but also supporting you to do the job that you need to do. We're not here to manage the town. That's what we need you for. Our job is to enable you to do that to the best of your ability. And so the one bit of constructive feedback that I gave in my remarks is for you to continue to be assertive in using your voice to tell us, we might not always agree with you, but we need to hear from you what you need, and to challenge our thinking on things when applicable.
I feel like I've spoken a lot, but I have a couple comments. I'll go back to what I said at the beginning of the night. First time I met with you, October of 2018, you had a vision. You have continued, you not only executed on that, you continue to grow. Complacency is definitely not in your DNA either. And you got a 4.4 score. And the way that I've evaluated you is that every year you expect more from somebody. And you continue to deliver on it. I've worked a long time now. I've seen successful leaders and those who aren't. What you do now is you trust your people. Your staff will go through a brick wall for you. Why? Because you lead the charge. You're able to multitask, do a great job on all of them. And at the same time, you sit down with the board, you keep us informed. You are the ultimate public servant. Have your office hours today, continuing to expand opportunities to interact with our residents. And again, it comes down to 6 years ago when I met with you, you had a vision. That vision continues to grow, but you've always executed on everything. We're lucky to have you. I go back to, I have been working now for over 30 years. One of the hardest skills for anyone to be able to have is, as an effective leader, is to get the team to follow you. You have it or you don't. The boss mentality doesn't work in the 21st century, and what you always look for is set in our strategic plan. You want to really create opportunities, not only out in the community, but for your staff to thrive. And that is a great objective. You want your team to grow. You spend hours with them so they can continue to grow. You always serve as the mentor, and you get your stuff done. So it's been great, working with you for the last 6 years. I know you're going to continue to do a great job. I know I'm in good hands with all of you. Look forward to seeing you growing. I still live in town, so I may come to office hours if I see any changes from that. But I just think it's a really well done job, and you continue to serve Shrewsbury well, and you raise the bar for yourself and your staff and you execute on that. So it was a great year in fiscal '25. It's been great serving as chair again with you, and look forward to seeing what you do for our community going forward. But all in all, outstanding job this year. So that's my comment.
Mind if I say a couple things?
Oh, please do.
Board rules?
You've listened to me a long time.
No, first and foremost, I obviously want to thank the board for all your thoughtful feedback. I know that not only the process of review, but the dialogue that we have on a daily, weekly, hourly basis at times is always very helpful. It is always very challenging, the things that we deal with, different perspectives on how we should approach things. And I take that, and I feel that this is a continued extraordinary opportunity to be the town manager in Shrewsbury, and I still think we have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of personal growth that I would like to explore, that I'm confident that I can do here, and there's many things that we can do for this organization to continue to be better, and we're working on those on a day-to-day basis, and it's an extraordinary opportunity. And again, just thank you for your feedback. My final note is, of course, this doesn't happen because of me. It happens because of a team. And I'm really grateful to have the team that I do, and the people that reflect openness and integrity and honesty, and the drive that so many things come out publicly here in my performance review is the work of my staff and how they approach things. And it makes it easier for me to be excited and engaging in the things that I get to do. So a huge thank you to them, and once again, thanks to the board.
Yeah, I appreciate the access that you allow us to staff directly to, where we don't have to funnel through you, and the trust and confidence that you have in each member. Keith and David were here tonight, and we appreciate them for staying late. But they're always available as well and provide great feedback to us. And so we appreciate that. Having access to the various subject matter experts within the organization, and the trust and confidence that you have in them to do it. So that's also a sign of leadership. So there's nothing else on this. We have a couple items that I'm going to take out of order. So next item, we are going to go into executive session, but what I suggest is we go to correspondence. I read through all of that, then we go into executive session. We will come back in open session. So if I may, I'll go to correspondence. Item 25, memorandum dated April 11th, 2025, from Nick Rebecca, Highway Divisions Manager, regarding street sweeping report. So noted. Just various areas, looks like over 475 tons of material unhauled to the landfill on Route 20 as part of street sweeping. Next item is memorandum dated April 14th, 2025, from Nick Rebecca, Highway Divisions Manager, regarding snow report for April 12th, 2025. Old Man Winter did not want to leave, so we had 5 inches of snow with a total cost of $26,323, or a cost per inch of about $5,600, so noted. Item 27, email dated April 15th, 2025, from Melissa Manna, 95 Jaffrey Street, Weymouth, Mass., regarding say no to nicotine-free generation regulation, so noted. Next item is a letter dated April 16th, 2025, from the Shrewsbury Scholarship Committee regarding 2025 Town of Shrewsbury Scholarship Awards. We've received from the Scholarship Committee that $3,500 scholarships were awarded to deserving high school seniors during this cycle. All of these recipients reside in town and will graduate this spring. The awards are based on a combination of financial need, character, community service, and academic standing. Recipients must complete their first semester of college and continue to the next semester in order to receive their scholarship. So congratulations to all of those recipients. And thank you to the Town of Shrewsbury Scholarship Committee, Carissa Ford, Deb Deldato, Lee Diamantopoulos, Caitlin Gentile, Bob Holland, and Jim Pignataro as part of the Scholarship Committee, so noted. Next item is an email dated April 13th, 2025, from Patricia Minton, 3 Partridge Hill Road, regarding North Shrewsbury plowing, so noted. And I know we've had correspondence back to her regarding her concerns. Next item is an email dated April 16th, 2025, from Stephen A. Boksansky, Principal, BCB Government Relations, Inc., regarding Article 29, which is the citizens' petition at the upcoming annual town meeting. So noted. In the last item on correspondence, Memorandum dated April 18th, 2025, from Andy Truman, Town Engineer, regarding school zone study request, which was in response to a question that Mr. Garcia had asked him when we were talking about the school zone approved recently at our meeting. So noted.
On that one.
Go ahead.
I'm wondering if, I appreciate Mr. Truman for doing this study. It was interesting to review each of the schools and see if they were eligible for the school zone designation. I see here that Spring Street School is, it's possible for a school zone, so I'm wondering if in a future agenda we could have that as an item just to make it a school zone, I feel like, for the safety of our students.
Sure.
Sure, we can do that.
Great.
I was like, someone needs to write that down because I'm not going to be here, he says.
I see Kevin writing it down.
Somebody needs to
Mr.
write it
Musicar's
down.
writing it down. We're all good. Okay, so we'll go back to item 20, agenda item 23, executive session to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel. Pursuant to...
I have one question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I don't mean to be annoying. Item 22, it says review and act. Do we have to accept the?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, you are correct. My bad. We need to review. And after talking so much, I didn't get to the agenda item.
Just wanted to make sure we're good.
We need to review and act on the performance evaluation for the town manager. So to approve it as a board. Correct.
Move approval. Second.
Have been moved and seconded, and all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. You are correct, and I'm not fulfilling my duty. So, back to item 23. So, we're seeking to enter executive session for the following reason. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel town manager. We'll now consider entering into executive session in accordance with the Open Meeting Law, Mass General Law 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel town manager. May I have a motion to that effect?
So moved. Second.
This is a roll call vote. Mrs. Flynn?
Aye.
Mrs. Conlon?
Aye.
Mrs. Cassavant?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia?
Aye.
Mr. Samia? Aye. We will now enter into executive session, and we will reconvene in open session. So thanks for sticking with us. Back from executive session, which was item 23. Item 24, to review and act on the employment agreement for the town manager from July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2029. We're pleased to announce a new 3-year employment agreement with our town manager, Mr. Mizikar, covering the 3-year period from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2029. Base salary will be $265,500, and deferred comp will be the current federal limit as it rolls out over those 3 years. Other than that, there are no changes to the agreement except for changes from references to, no material changes from Board of Selectmen to Select Board. Other than that, it's the same agreement, new term, and congratulations.
Thank you.
On that, any comments at all, or any comments from you? But to me, it's, you had an outstanding review. You're someone that we hope that serves Shrewsbury for years to come, and we benefited from your service and look to continue to benefit highly from your service over the next year, as well as under that new employment contract that we just announced.
Thank you. Appreciate the board's confidence in me, and we'll continue to work as hard as we have since day one.
Great. So any other comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the employment agreement for the town manager from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2029, with the changes as mentioned.
So moved.
Second.
Have been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. That is it for those who have stayed with us. Thank you for joining us this evening. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Having moved and seconded, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for joining us this evening. Hope to see you at our next meeting on May 13th. Remember, office hours from 5:30 to 6:30. Thanks for joining us. Good night.